Welcome to Reddit Stories, where OP's boyfriend is threatening to break up with her over a tattoo. My boyfriend is threatening to break up with me over a tattoo. I'm 21, female, and my boyfriend is 24, and we've been dating for 3 years. My favorite band in the entire world is a small indie rock band called Alex Sucks. I've been a fan of theirs since their first song came out, and their music has gotten me through some really tough times. It really means a lot to me. About 3.5 years ago, right before my boyfriend and I got together, I saw them live for the first time. After the show, I got the lead singer Alex to sign my arm with a marker so I could get it tattooed later. I was 17 at the time, so the plan was to get it done as my 18th birthday gift to myself. That never happened because of money, school, and life getting in the way. Now I'm finally in a place when I can afford it. I talked to my mom, and she offered to pay for my first tattoo as a Christmas gift, something small, around $250. I immediately thought of getting the signature tattoo. I got really excited, and I called my boyfriend to tell him. He shut it down right away. He said he'd be beyond angry if I got it done. I asked him if he would actually break up with me over it. He went silent for a bit, which kind of felt like an answer. I got upset and said, "Fine, be that way," and hung up. I understood where he's coming from with the idea of it being another man's name on me forever, but I really don't see it that way. It barely even looks like a name. It looks more like a scribble or a symbol. To me, it's not about the person. It's about the band and what their music meant to me during a hard time in my life. I also wouldn't get it somewhere super visible. I planned to get it on my thigh above my knee, so it would only really be seen in the summer. Am I overreacting here? Is this something that most people would actually be upset about? Here's a pic of it. Not the jerk. You showed him something you were genuinely excited about and emotionally connected to, and he responded with anger and hostility instead of curiosity or support. That's the part that matters. Life is too short to spend time with people who dull your excitement or make you feel small for caring about things. A partner doesn't have to love every single thing you love, but they should at least respect it. I'd leave without blinking an eye. Don't stay with people who drain the life and passion out of you. Our stay on Earth is far too brief. It's not a tattoo of an ex or a male friend. It's a band, a piece of art, a memory. If someone threatens to leave you over something this personal and harmless, they're telling you how conditional their support is. Believe them. Update 3 days later. To answer a few things real quick and give context, yes, my boyfriend has always known how much I love this band. We've even gone to 2 of their concerts together. He's known about my plan for this tattoo for a long time. He just never said he had an issue with it until now, when I actually had the chance to get it. He's also had opinions about my appearance before. He's told me he doesn't like when I wear makeup, doesn't want me to dye my hair, doesn't like certain clothes like crop tops, and has threatened to leave me before over piercings I mentioned I wanted. Now for the update. After reading the comments, I took y'all's advice and called him and asked if we could have a calm conversation about this. I asked him directly what his real issue was with the tattoo. He said it was because it's another man's name and that I'd be marked with his name forever. I tried explaining that I don't see it as that at all. To me, it's a memory, a symbol of the band and what their music meant to me, not about the person who wrote it. He couldn't understand my side. Then he said something that really hurt. He accused me of dressing inappropriately at their concerts and trying to get the singer's attention. That made me very upset. I told him that wasn't true at all. The worst I ever wore was a short, not mini, skirt and a crop top that didn't even show my belly, and he was literally there with me. Other times I wore baggy jeans and tank tops. I dressed that way because I felt good and comfortable, not because I was trying to impress anyone. He didn't want to hear it. Then he said it would be different if it wasn't my first tattoo. I asked why, and he said he didn't want the only tattoo I ever had to be connected to a man. I asked if he'd still break up with me if it were my second or third tattoo, and he went silent again. I'm currently in another state for the holidays. When I get back, I'm getting the rest of my things from his house and leaving. I haven't officially broken up with him yet because I have valuables there, and I want to make sure I get everything safely. But I'm done. This situation opened my eyes to patterns I've been ignoring for a long time. This isn't really about the tattoo, but control, respect, and feeling like myself in my own relationship. 3 years feels long, but it's nothing compared to a lifetime of shrinking yourself to keep someone else comfortable. It will hurt for a while, but I know in the long run, it's what I have to do to preserve my peace and to be happy with my life. Thank you to everyone who took the time to comment and help me see this clearly. Please don't lose your nerve when you get back. Follow through and break up. It's easy to lose momentum when the immediate emotion fades, but what you described is a pattern, not a one-off moment. You deserve a relationship where you don't feel like you have to ask permission to be yourself. I mean, yeah, he's kind of being petty about the tattoo, but you're also leaving him over the tattoo. Doesn't mean you're wrong, just means it's clearly a bigger incompatibility than either of you realized. You both care a lot about what this represents, and neither of you is willing to budge. At that point, it kind of is about the tattoo, even if there's other stuff under it too. So he felt weird about it, and she felt controlled by it. Yeah, he sees another guy's name, and she sees a memory. And when that gap doesn't close, that's usually the end. Incompatibilities come in all shapes and sizes. Just be you, do you, and don't stay with someone who clearly isn't what you want. And don't try to change someone into the person that you wish they were. It never ends well. Am I the jerk for not going to the wedding of my dad and his affair partner? When I was 17, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She fought it for 2 years. During that time, my dad wasn't around much. He said he was always working or on business trips. My aunt and my grandma were the ones who really took care of my mom. They drove her to appointments, cooked for her, stayed with her when she was sick, and helped her through the worst days. 2 years later, my mom passed away. About 5 months after that, my dad introduced me to his new girlfriend. I remember feeling stunned and angry all at once. It felt way too fast. I yelled at him about how quickly he moved on from my mom. That's when he told me the truth. They had been in a relationship for 3 years. While my mom was dying, my dad was cheating on her. His business trips were trips to see his affair partner. On top of that, she wasn't some stranger. She'd been a friend of my mom's and knew she had cancer. I was furious. I packed my things and left his house that day. I haven't spoken to him since. I'm 25 now, and the only family member I stayed in contact with was my aunt, the one who helped me when I left. A few days ago, she called me. She asked how I was doing, then asked if I'd heard from my dad. I said, why would I hear from him? She told me he was getting married to his affair partner and said that if I went to the wedding, it could help mend our relationship. I said, why would I do that? He's dead to me. There was silence, and then I heard my dad's voice. I realized my aunt had put him on the call without telling me. I hung up immediately. I texted my aunt and reminded her that I had asked her not to share my contact info with him. She replied that I was being a jerk, that my dad was crushed, and that I should move on by now. I didn't want to argue with someone who had helped me, so I blocked her. 2 days later, I got a wedding invitation in my mailbox. The only person in that family who knew my address was my aunt. Then the calls started. My dad, uncles, cousins, other relatives, all telling me I should forgive and give him a chance and come to the wedding. Some called me names. Some told me I was cruel. I even got a text from the affair partner saying my dad was thinking of postponing the wedding if I would just talk to him. I told her it wasn't my fault if he postponed it and that I didn't want a relationship with either of them. After that, it went quiet. But being told by so many people that I'm wrong did leave me conflicted. So, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. He cheated on your mom while she was dying, and now people are shocked you don't want a relationship with him or to attend his wedding? And your aunt giving out your contact information without asking was way out of line too. OP, there is no statute of limitations on feelings. You're allowed to feel how you feel about this for as long as you need to. A lot of folks would be tempted to show up and make a scene, but walking away quietly is healthier. You don't owe them closure, forgiveness, or a performance. Sometimes no and distance really is the cleanest answer. Update 1 month later. So after all the texts and calls from multiple family members, I sent one message to everyone explaining what my dad did and why I chose to go no contact with him. Then I blocked all the numbers. I also changed my phone number but kept the old one active on a separate phone, just in case they tried to contact me again from random numbers. Luckily, nothing happened, and I thought that was the end of it. About a week later, my aunt's fiance showed up at my apartment. He knows what time I get home from work and was waiting for me in the parking lot. I was cautious, but he assured me he only wanted to talk. According to him, the message I sent caused a huge mess in the family. Some cousins who didn't know what happened in the past started asking questions. My dad and his partner got defensive and denied everything at first, but someone eventually confirmed that it was true. This led to a major argument within the family, and some cousins decided not to attend the wedding. My dad wanted to postpone the wedding so he could talk to me, but his partner threatened to leave him if he did that. The news also reached some of their friends who used to be friends with my mom. Some of them pulled out of the wedding too. This caused my dad's partner to have a breakdown, and she started banning anyone who brought it up, including family members, from the wedding. According to my aunt's fiance, she's blaming all of this on me and says I did it intentionally. I laughed at that. The wedding is still somehow happening. I asked him how all of this started. He said there was a conversation about how bad the family would look if I wasn't at the wedding, and my aunt offered to call me. He said he disagreed with that idea, but she did it anyway. He told me he only came by because he felt that I deserved to know what happened. I thanked him, but told him that I was going completely no contact with my aunt, and by extension, him as well. He understood, wished me well, and left. I won't pretend I'm completely okay. I miss my aunt. I miss my mom. But I know I did the right thing. I'm currently staying with my girlfriend, and she's been cheering me up by joking about absurd ways to ruin the wedding. It's just for laughs, of course. A lot of you suggested therapy, and I'm going to take that advice. Some of the comments made me realize how much grief and anger I've been carrying without dealing with it. I'm nervous about starting, but I also think it'll be good for me. Once again, thank you to everyone who commented and offered support. It really meant a lot to me. Ciao. Edit. The very first idea she came up with was, let's go to the landfill and catch some rats, then let's release them at the wedding. It got progressively worse from that. Obviously, this is just for fun, and I have no intention of going anywhere near that wedding, but reading some of the ideas is giving me a good laugh. Not the jerk. The most effective revenge already happened. You told the truth and stepped away. Everything else is just the natural fallout of their own choices. The fantasy ideas are funny, but the healthiest move is exactly what you're doing. Be a million miles away from that wedding and let it implode on its own. People joking about crashing the wedding are being entertaining, but that just keeps you emotionally tied to it. You didn't ruin anything nor create drama. You told the truth, protected yourself, and now you're moving on. That's the part that actually matters here. Update 1 year later. I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I logged in today and saw a lot of messages asking what happened and how I'm doing. I wasn't sure if I should write this or if anyone would even see it because I don't know if I'm doing it right, but here it goes. For everyone asking what happened at the wedding, I don't know much. All I know is that they got married. No one from that family contacted me after that, and I didn't go asking around either. I'm at peace with it. As for me, things are different now. First, I want to thank everyone who reached out and asked how I've been holding up. Your kindness means more to me than I can put into words. I'm getting better slowly, though the journey hasn't been easy. A lot has changed since my last update. I'm single now, and I've moved to a new city. My ex, who I'll call Mia, and I separated about 4 months after my last post. We celebrated 2 years together in March and talked about our future, but I was a mess. Therapy started well, but I quickly realized how many unresolved issues I had bottled up from losing my mom. I was struggling emotionally, crying randomly, worrying about some really dark thoughts that I might somehow turn into my dad, and spiraling with fears I couldn't control. Mia had dreams of marriage and kids, and I knew I wasn't in the right place to give her the future she deserved. It would have been selfish of me to ask her to stay while I tried to get better. We had a long, honest talk, a lot of tears, and ultimately decided to part ways. It wasn't easy, but it was the best decision for both of us. Mia and I still cared for each other deeply, and she, along with my friends, checked on me every day after the breakup. I wasn't left to face things alone, and for that, I'm so grateful. In July, I was offered the chance to move to the head office of my company in another city. After discussing it with my therapist, I decided it would be a good opportunity to change my surroundings and start fresh. In September, I made the move. My best friend used 25 days of his 30-day vacation to help me pack, move, and settle in. I can't overstate how much that meant to me. I have incredible friends. Since then, I've been taking things one day at a time. The new office has been amazing. Everyone's been so welcoming, which was a big relief since I was anxious about starting over somewhere new. I now attend online therapy sessions 2 times a week and grief counseling in person here. It's been helping a lot. I'm in a much better headspace than I was before, though I still don't feel ready to date again. For now, I'm focusing on my career and on continuing to heal. Once again, thank you to everyone who supported me, whether through messages or just by caring enough to check in. It means the world. Ciao. So glad you came back to update. I thought about your story more than once, and I'm really glad to hear that you're doing better. It sounds like you made some really hard but healthy choices. Therapy, the move, giving yourself space to heal. That's not easy, and it takes a lot of self-awareness. Wishing you nothing but peace and good things going forward. This was really good to read. You went through a lot, and you're handling it with a lot of maturity and care for yourself. The fact that you're worried about becoming like your dad honestly shows that you're nothing like him. Keep leaning on your friends, keep doing the work you're doing, and keep choosing yourself. You're doing great. Final update 1 year later. Ex-dad and family, no idea. I haven't heard from anyone on that side. My friend group, still awesome as ever. Where I live, my job, and my best friend's job. I think this is being asked because I mentioned my best friend got a 30-day vacation. I live in Europe, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Someone also managed to figure out who I am and sent flowers to my office with the Reddit post attached on a card and a very kind message. I asked my friends, and they all swore that it wasn't them. It was sweet and also a little unnerving. As for Mia, we're talking again slowly. I met her for the first time since I moved earlier this year at a friend's wedding. We both still have feelings, but we're just talking for now. Me, I'm doing much better. Therapy has been really helpful. It started off bumpy, and I almost quit after a few sessions, but my therapist has been great and helped me process a lot of things I needed to face. I also joined grief counseling, and that's been one of the best things I've done. It's a group setting, and I've become close with some of the people there over the last year. I was nervous to go because I worried I wouldn't be taken seriously since it's been a while since my mom passed, but everyone was welcoming and kind, and that made it easier to open up. So my life isn't perfect or magically fixed, but I'm still working on myself, still healing and in a much better place mentally than I was before. That's it. I'm not going to update anymore. I want to thank everyone who sent kind messages. It really helped. I'm just going to try to live my best life now. This is really good to read, OP. It sounds like you've done a lot of hard emotional work and it's paying off. I'm glad you're in a better place now. Wishing you nothing but peace and good things going forward. Man went to therapy, moved cities, found peace, and Reddit's still like, but what about your dad though? The internet never forgets a side character, even when the main plot has clearly ended. I quit with no notice, and now I'm being threatened if I don't get my work phone to them within 12 hours. Yep, I quit my job today with no notice. I know that sounds dramatic, but I got a new job offer that needed me immediately, and my old workplace had become unbearable. The environment was hostile, immature, and stressful in ways that weren't healthy for me anymore. I finally chose myself, and I'm so beyond happy and relieved. I sent in my resignation by email, thanked them for the opportunity, and I kept it professional. A few hours later, I got a call from the HR person. He demanded that I return my company laptop and phone first thing tomorrow morning. The problem is, I live on the opposite side of the city, I also have an after-work welcome event with my new team tomorrow. There's no way I can physically return the items tomorrow morning. So I offered to overnight the laptop and phone with tracking and signature required. I offered this multiple times in writing. I even suggested insurance on the package so everything would be documented and protected, but he refused. He told me that if the items were not physically returned in person by tomorrow morning, they would involve their attorneys and pursue legal action against me. That felt completely unhinged. I'm not refusing to return anything. I'm actively trying to return it in the fastest reasonable way. This HR person has been hostile toward me for months. He denied every single PTO request I ever made. He sent me aggressive emails over small issues. He made comments about my health. The company has no real policies. The employee handbook is badly written, full of typos and vague to the point of being meaningless. Nothing in it even mentions equipment return procedures. I honestly don't think they actually have lawyers involved. It feels like a threat meant to intimidate me for quitting without notice. At the same time, I don't want to accidentally do something that could cause me legal trouble. So my question is simple. If I ship the equipment overnight with signature requirement, am I actually doing anything wrong? Or is this just a power trip? Sending good energy to everyone out there dealing with this kind of crap. Make them involve their lawyers. The first thing a lawyer does is send a formal letter, which costs money. Once you get that letter, you respond and arrange the return. Let them waste their money being petty. Ship the equipment with tracking, insurance, and signature required. Keep the receipts. Save all emails. That's all you need to do. They don't get to control your schedule after you quit. Update 2 days later. I got so many responses and such helpful info on my last post. Thanks to everyone who responded and let me know that this guy didn't have a leg to stand on. Quick update is, I didn't return the items the next morning because it was physically impossible. I again offered to ship them overnight and he again refused. Instead, he sent me a signed letter demanding the items be returned by November 18th. He also said he mailed a copy of the letter to me, which would be a moot point even if he had gotten the date right. It was supposed to be today, December 18th, not November. He also said he had texted me the PDF. He sent it to the work phone, which I've already wiped and powered off per company instructions. I replied and said the demand was literally impossible and asked to be connected with their attorney so we could resolve this properly. He replied, "You can go through me." Eventually, he agreed to send a courier to pick up the items. He said it should happen tomorrow if all goes smoothly. Based on his behavior so far, I'm not optimistic. I can't wait to hand these things off to the messenger and confirm receipt and block him. I hope he gets a life soon. Happy holidays, everyone. Update. He's now saying it's prohibited to send the items back in the mail due to sensitive info, and he's going to have his attorney serve me papers. I said, great, connect me because I'm traveling and don't want them to have to chase me down. FYI, I didn't sign anything about equipment return whatsoever. Then he refused to connect me. He said he would send a messenger again after I said I'm at work today and I don't have the things with me. I offered to return the items in person after the holidays. No response yet. At this point, I'm pretty sure he's just trying to bully me. I'm also worried he may try to withhold my final paycheck, which I believe is illegal. I'm exhausted by this. Update the next day. I realized I was letting this HR loser control my emotional state, and I don't want that. He told me again that the lawyers would be much harder to deal with than him. I told him again, great, please connect me. He didn't. He then claimed the equipment is now misappropriated property. I looked it up, and Google said that requires intentional refusal to return items. It's in writing about 7,000 times that I'm trying to get these items back. One also has 30 days after receiving a letter requesting return to actually return the property. He sent me the letter this week with a return request date of November 18th. He sent me the letter this week. So I told him that since mailing it is apparently out of the question and he never followed through on sending a messenger, I'll return the items when I'm back in the city the first week of January. No response yet. It's starting to feel like harassment at this point. He's adding comments about me being disrespectful and similar things, and basically, I just want this to end. I'm not responding to anything else until January. I did let this get to me a bit this week, but that's the end of that. I hope I ruined his week. This dragged on longer than it needed to. Yes, HR is being a jerk, but it is their equipment. The fastest way to end the drama is to return it, get proof, and move on. Arguing with him, trading jabs, and hoping you ruined his week just keeps you emotionally tied to a place you already left. The real win is making them irrelevant to you. OP quit his job and accidentally unlocked a bonus boss fight called HR Who Thinks He's Law. They didn't steal the loot. They just couldn't fast travel back to headquarters in 12 hours. My wife is addicted to the gym and it's ruining our marriage. My wife is 30 years old and she's always worked out and been in shape, but lately I feel like it's becoming excessive. She used to regularly work out at a gym when she was in college. At some point she stopped going to the gym. I think lately just due to her schedule and preferred to work out at home or to go for runs outside. About 18 months ago, she announced she was going to get back into the habit of going to the gym. She now had a job where she's able to make more time for it. It started off normal, but slowly became more and more frequent. She signed up for classes on the weekend, both days. She started going to the gym every day. Then it became the morning before work and again later in the evening, every single day. If she's stressed, she goes to the gym. Experiences some sort of life crisis, she immediately heads to the gym. We have an argument, she runs to the gym. She's 4 months pregnant right now. I'm kind of surprised we even had time to make a kid. I understand that it's safe for her to work out, especially since she was already in the habit of doing it before she got pregnant, but the intensity is not slowing down. If she misses one of her normal gym sessions, she becomes so irritable, like a junkie not getting her fix. It's just bizarre. Truly a case of too much of a good thing. Of course, she gets upset when I voice that I feel it's becoming an unhealthy obsession and that I miss spending time with her because there's so much of it. She has all of these friends and this whole circle of people there that she seems to prefer spending time with over me. Why don't we work out together at the gym? The gym is her time, she says. This isn't a case of me feeling insecure because she's in great physical shape and I'm some slob. I work out also and I'm in shape too. My job really requires me to stay in shape, so I can't let myself go even if I wanted to. I genuinely feel her gym habits are unhealthy. She's over-exercising for one. There is such a thing. But worse than that, I feel it's becoming a way for her to escape everything else in her life. She never actually fixed anything that goes wrong in her life. She just runs off to the gym to get some sort of mood boost, and that's it. She also never gets anything else done in a practical sense because how can she when she's at the gym so often? It's to the point where I have to do every chore, and if food is getting made, I'm going to have to do it. I don't expect her to do all of those things, but it should at least be a shared effort. People we know have even commented about it to me. They've said things about how she seems different, how she sure is at the gym a lot, and many of her friends and family barely see her anymore. Some have even suggested she's having an affair with somebody there. Please tell me that this doesn't sound normal to you. She insists this is perfectly normal. My guess would be that she's overwhelmed by life and that she escapes to the gym. She probably has always been a control freak, and now that life does life things, she has a hard time not being in control. You're always in control at the gym. Same reason why bodybuilding attracts control freaks. OP. Yes, she is somebody who is overwhelmed with life, a very stressed out person, somebody who worries about everything. Her job is extremely stressful to her, and she's been on the verge of true breakdowns because of it multiple times. They're actually the ones who told her that she had to do something to deal with her stress, which was part of the reason she started going to the gym. Okay, the people thinking this is an affair is one thing, but I think it's more likely this. I saw this post and actually thought of myself at one point. I used to spend 3 hours at the gym over 2 sessions some days and run 30 to 40 miles a week. If I missed my run or someone changed plans on me, I would be very annoyed and have to make it up another day, often overworking myself and just stressed, and I wouldn't be able to enjoy things until I got my workout in. Based on what you said, I do think she's addicted to exercise, and it is a real thing. I think due to her pregnancy and body changes, the gym and exercise is really how she feels in control. It's an obsession, like OCD if that makes sense, and over time she will need more exercise to feel that high. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his wife? Please let us know. I think the jerk was that commenter saying bodybuilding attracts control freaks. Something tells me they probably have zero gains. Am I the jerk for asking my best friend to break up with his uneducated, unemployed girlfriend so we can be together? Plus updates. I know the title makes me sound like a jerk, but I couldn't think of another way to try to summarize it. We'll call him Dean, and we'll call his girlfriend Helen. Basically, I'm a university student and interned at a marketing company over the last few summers. Dean was my boss there, and we became really close friends. Our friendship moved outside of work, and I no longer interned there at all. The more we talked, the more I fell for him. He's incredible, hardworking, successful, funny, the whole package. His girlfriend is not, in my opinion. She's actually a loser. She's uneducated and unemployed. Helen dropped out of high school because of family problems. Apparently, her mom has severe anxiety and depression and would have all kinds of breakdowns throughout her life. So Helen stayed home with her and still does when necessary because her father can't retire yet. Over the years, Helen had admitted it's weighed down on her mental health. She sees a psychiatrist and takes medication. She's developed her own irrational anxiety. She's had some jobs over the years, in the hours her dad is home with her mom for work, but would have screaming and crying panic attacks while on the job. She has them at home sometimes too, at night. But she can calm herself down okay apparently. Subsequently, she's never finished school or held down a job. Dean and I have talked about it many times. He insists she's doing her best and that she does all the cooking, cleaning, laundry, yard work, etc. at her home. She gets a very small amount of money from her father for this weekly. She also does video game streaming and makes some money from that. Barely any, I think. They've been together for 5 years, and he's come to terms with the fact that she may never work or get educated. Dean has a marketing degree, but he doesn't seem to care. He says he will provide financially, and he's okay with her being a stay-at-home mom someday, or even just a stay-at-home wife. I DM'd him asking why he's even in love with her, how he fell in love with her, just why. I don't get it. He can do so much better. He said this, "I fell in love with her for many reasons. She's sweet, kind, cute, and she always sees the best in people, even with everything that she's been through. I think she's funny, beautiful, intelligent, and is always trying to do something good. I like that she's random, silly, quirky, and passionate. I like how competitive she is, because I'm competitive too. I like that she's athletic. I like how she cooks things, top of the dome, without the need to Google everything like me. I love her giggle, and I really love her smile. I like her singing voice, and all of her voices. I like her hugs and kisses. I told him how I felt about him, how I'm in love with him, and that I wish she wasn't around. He said, well, I'm lucky that she is, and I don't know what I'd do without her. I told him he's just comfortable, and he's staying with her because it's been a long time. That I've been at a place in my life where I thought I couldn't go on without certain people, but I survived, and he would too. He said, well, I don't want to, so I'd appreciate you not saying things like, I wish she wasn't in the picture. That's awful. If you cared at all about me, then you'd say that I'm lucky to have her and respect that, you know? So he admittedly won't leave her, and I don't understand why. With the little money she earns, she saves up to do some very special things for him. Got him a cameo from his favorite actress, took him to see his favorite sports team in the playoff, got him a PS4. She's taking him to his favorite band this summer. She also does sweet stuff for him, like giving him random cards, drawings, paintings, crap like that. I think that maybe that's the real reason he stays with her, but I could do that stuff for him too. She's had years to do it. I'm studying hard. I work as a barista to get through school. I love talking to him. I love spending time with him. He means the world to me. Does anyone have advice on how I can win him over? I just want him for myself. I'm the better choice for him. He just doesn't realize it right now. What can I do? Edit. Here's some of our DMs. Dean. How materialistic are you? Me. You're really going to support some stupid jerk the rest of your life? That's really insane. Dean. It's none of your business. Why do you apologize if you're still going to act like this? Because I don't think you realize how dumb you are for what you're choosing for yourself. She's not worth it. You can have someone who is your equal. Dean. Listen, I don't have to argue with you about who I'm going to marry. You want to talk? We can talk about anything you want except my relationship. Otherwise, I won't be replying. You looked out for me, so I'm just looking out for you. I'm just being a good friend. She has no job though, and I do. Dean. Yeah, you're a real treat. At least I'm not a broke jerk. You work at a coffee shop and rent a room. Yeah, which is more than she does, isn't it? No, actually. Call my girlfriend a jerk one more time. I call them like I see them. No one else would do that. You're still talking to me. You didn't give up. Dean. Just trying to look out. Doesn't seem like you have anyone else. Anyone would do the same.
Not any guy I've met before. I just wish she wasn't in the picture, I guess.
Well, I'm lucky that she is. I don't know what I'd do without her.
You'd go on like everyone else. There are many people I thought I couldn't go on without, but here I am. You would figure it out too.
Dean: Well, I don't want to. So I'd appreciate you not saying things like, I wish she wasn't in the picture. That's awful. We were fighting here, but we usually have a great relationship. Edit: I decided to link him to this post as someone who commented recommended. Hopefully he'll get a better insight into where I'm at emotionally and why. Can't you just be friends with benefits? OP: He doesn't want that. I've asked and sent pics. He asked me to stop immediately or he would cut contact. There's clearly something he sees in her that he doesn't see in you. You can't explain why people like who they like. If he's happy with her and their relationship, then that's that. Your attempts to drive them apart will only drive your friends away from you. OP: He hasn't let himself see me in that light though. If he did, he would see I can offer him all that she does and more. He just thinks he's happy. Love is blind. He had no idea what he's in right now because he's in so deep. If he could just wake up and realize we could be a very happy couple together in the future. What you think about any of this doesn't matter. It's what he thinks. Just move on. OP: Why can't I change the way he thinks? I'm seeing it as an intervention for his dead-end relationship. I just don't think anyone here is hearing me out. It seems bad on the surface, but it isn't. Link him to this Reddit post and he'll be able to see where you're coming from in a way that's clearer than text messages, which are short and impersonal. He'll see it with super clear eyes, and he'll probably even realize he needs to take the problem person out of his life. Your replies in particular will show him everything he hasn't realized. OP: So you agree that she's a problem? Thank you. People in this post are judging me so hard, and I'm trying to stand up for myself because I know what I believe in and that it's right for him and me. I'm giving him some time to cool off, but I'll link him to this post this weekend. After OP sent the post to Dean, Dean responds: OP, you linked me to this post so I could understand you better, and now I do. I love my girlfriend more than life itself. I've been with her for 5 years for a reason. Not because of what she can offer me financially, but because of who she is as a person. That's what matters to me. I'll work 3 jobs if it means keeping her. For example, she once spent 2 hours traveling in the rain to bring my sick mom some homemade soup. Money doesn't buy that kind of heart. I never told you that story because you would get emotional and angry with me for even bringing up my girlfriend. I tried to be your friend because you seemed lonely when we worked together. You said your roommates don't talk to you and your family is back in your home country. We never had a future together. It's not even a possibility. I will protect that woman at all costs, and it really hurts me to see you talking smack about her to strangers on the internet. I hope you'll have the integrity to take this down. Maybe it's best we don't stay friends for now and see where this heads. You sent me the link to this thread, and then you immediately blocked me on Instagram. Why? I don't understand what you want from me at this point, but it's no longer worth my energy. If you're ready to grow up and respect my relationship, give me a call. I refuse to forgive my family until they pay me back my inheritance that they spent on themselves, plus updates. I, 25 male, am the youngest of 3 siblings, who are 33 female and 31 female. My parents, who are 63 and 60, are owners of a grocery store that was passed down through my father's side of the family for generations. My grandparents on both my dad and my mom's side left me and my siblings each a college/trust fund of $100,000. Each of my sisters blew through their money and dropped out of college. Both of them became single mothers to my 3 nieces, who are 10, 8, and 7, and came back to work for my parents' store. I was the only kid who didn't work for my parents' business, as I got a job as a landscaper for the summers, and after school throughout my entire high school years, I saved up about $20,000. I got accepted into college on a partial scholarship, and I was beyond thrilled because I knew I had a great opportunity to leave college debt-free and own my own home by the time I was 22. Just as my sisters did when they turned 18, I asked my parents to turn over access to the trust, wanted to have the money under my control just like my sisters did. That's when my parents told me we would discuss this at dinner tonight. So at dinner, the whole family was there, including my nieces. When it was time to talk about my trust, my dad and mom asked me if I would consider holding off on accessing the trust for 2 years, as they had to use some of the money to cover some of the healthcare and living costs of their grandkids, and also pay off a lawsuit that my sister Gloria received for a DUI. I asked how much they used, and my mom said there's currently $5,000 left in the account. So they spent $95,000 and none of it went to me.
My dad said, "We just need you to think about your family and understand that we need your help in this request." I said, "Isn't it great that everyone benefited from this money besides the person it was intended for?" Gloria and Lori got to go to college and travel the world with their money, while with my money, I got to pay for all of their mistakes. My last words to my family were that this was not a request, as the decision was already made and I moved out and left. I still went to college as I had a partial scholarship, and over those years, I used the money I had in my savings to start my own landscaping business, which employs 6 guys, and we're doing great. I never got a chance to spend any of the money my grandparents left for me, as my parents never built back up the trust. 2 years ago, I found out from my lawyer, when I sent in my formal request to access the trust, that the current balance was $3,400, less than the $5,000 my parents told me about. My sisters and parents have tried to reconnect through the years, but I have always returned every gift, letter, and invitation they've sent me back to them. I'm getting married next month, and my fiance wants to meet my family and help me close this chapter in my life. My fiance wants me to forgive and move on, as I haven't spoken to them in years. But am I in the wrong for telling my fiance, "Sorry, but I cannot move on from this"? Update. So much has happened that I think the best way to do this is to put them in key points. Here's what's happened since. Fiance admitted to speaking with my family on Facebook Messenger, and that they also spoke in person when she said that they met each other in a restaurant. Happened a month ago. Fiance said it was very emotional. I told my fiance I'm extremely disappointed that she withheld this information from me for a month. Fiance told me she felt guilty and afraid to tell me because she thought I might break up with her and cancel the wedding if I found out. She wanted to wait until after the wedding to tell me. However, yesterday my mom called her directly, begging her to help me reunite our family. She missed so much of my life, and she doesn't want to miss another milestone, the wedding. Fiance knows she has violated my trust and gave me the most heart-melting, sincere apology I've ever heard in my life and asked for forgiveness. She even had her parents ask me to forgive her and not to cancel the wedding. Her dad and mom told me they loved me and hoped I could move past this. Her dad loves me. He literally has a picture of me in his office, just me and him, introduces me as his son for the past 2 years. He cried and said he doesn't want to lose me as a son. I forgave my fiance. Sisters came to my business with my nieces and desperately wanted to talk. Sisters deeply regret their part in the decisions that were made on their behalf, want to be a family again. They understand my position and anger, but they miss me and want me back in their lives. My nieces also asked why I don't come around anymore, and am I mad at them? Sisters explained this has destroyed our parents' marriage, as it's now come out that my mom apparently spent the majority of the money without my dad knowing. Even then, when he found out, my mom wanted dad to say it was both of their decisions because she believes if it came out that it was her that decided by herself and not my dad, that I would never forgive her no matter what and would disown her because I always accused her of playing favorites. To be honest, she is right. I would have disowned her. My mom pleaded with my dad to cover for her decision to empty my fund. Dad was furious, but decided to say that he and my mom decided to spend the money. Now, Dad resents our mom because he no longer had a relationship with his only son. He also hears from his friends how great of a relationship me and father-in-law have. I call father-in-law Dad, and he calls me son. Dad told my mother either she fixes this or he's done with her, and he is telling me the truth. I told my sisters that I loved them and my nieces, and I do not hate them. However, they helped rob me of a very important gift that our grandparents gave each of us, and I missed out on life experiences that they got to have, and I didn't. It's like they stole my last gift that our grandparents left for me. We all cried, and I accepted their apology, but I told them I do not know how to let go of this resentment I feel towards them. I let them know our relationship will take time to rebuild. I asked them to set up a meeting with just me and Dad, and not my mom. I met with my dad alone. My dad was shocked that I requested the meeting. He looked defeated and asked to speak first. My dad told me that he is and has been depressed for the last few years and feels like he truly failed me as my father, and he knows he betrayed me. And as a father, he must take that to his grave, that he's the reason his son hates him. He said he's extremely jealous of the relationship I have with my father-in-law, and he just started crying for like 3 minutes straight. I told him I know that it was Mom who decided to spend the money. I told him I understand why he didn't throw Mom under the bus, but he deeply hurt me by covering for Mom's decision this long. I told him I love him and said he doesn't owe me anything anymore. He's done owing Mom's debt. We both cried and hugged for like 5 minutes. I invited him, my sisters, and my nieces over to dinner at my place that night without Mom. I let my sisters and my dad know that if they came to dinner with my mom with them, that this would be the last time we spoke. My mom clearly found out about the reunion without her and wanted to speak. I refused her request and told her, please bring a check for $100,000 if you want to talk to me. My wedding is in September, and I have since invited everyone but my mom. My sisters want me to hear my mom's side of the story, and my dad has said that he's done covering for my mom's decision. My fiance is happy and supports my decision 100%, even though I know she wants me to meet with my mother. She just got forgiven herself, so she doesn't want to push. Reddit, should I meet with my mom before or after she hands me the check for $100,000? $10 says the fiance tries to push it. She made it clear that she hoped not to get caught until after the wedding, then agreed to drop it for the wedding. She's going to push it after the wedding for sure. People get so greedy for money that they didn't earn. I really don't understand dad covering for mom when she was so clearly in the wrong. Maybe he didn't believe that the son would continue to be no contact with them. Mom managed to ruin her own life for a bit of money? Stealing your own kid's college fund? The one kid that seemed to have his head on straight. Why wouldn't you want to give him the best chance at life? So his fiance betrayed him, his dad lied to him, his sister spent his money knowingly, and his mom stole everything from him. Honestly, OP has been dealt the worst hand possible over this inheritance, and how he's forgiving anybody is beyond me. Words are cheap. 100K is 100K, and none of those involved have put even a penny back towards what they spent. I'd tell them to buzz off. As OP said, he lost out on what he could have done with the 100K. Even if they paid him back now, it doesn't fix things 100%, and they aren't even trying to pay him back. Am I the jerk for being upset that my wife will miss our first anniversary for a bachelorette party? Plus updates. The woman my wife is missing our anniversary for hates me because I drove a wedge in their friendship, since my wife obviously spends a large chunk of her time with me. I also see through her BS bullying, and I do not have patience for her. Anytime my wife tries to include this friend in our plans, the friend whines about nearly everything. Yesterday, she was car sick when we had to drive an hour and a half to and from the places we went to as she sat in the back. She tried to solve the problem by eating potato chips and 2 cans of soda, only to keep complaining she felt sick. She was clearly hinting I should have been the one sitting in the back, but I'm recovering from an injury, and the extra room in the passenger seat is helpful. She made very obnoxious digs into my home country and background, to the point where I almost took the train home, leaving my wife with her friends. Living in a new country has already been exhausting. Having to hear things like that from my wife's friend wasn't pleasant. My wife didn't stand up for me, which hurt my feelings. We spoke at length last night and today about it, agreeing I would never go out with this friend again. My wife also said it was only a matter of time before the friendship ended because she couldn't deal with the negativity and self-centered attitude anymore. On to the problem. April 17th is our first anniversary. My wife is the maid of honor at her wedding and got to choose when the bachelorette party is. She chose the week of our first anniversary, meaning we would be flying home from my home country to a very private getaway I had planned on our anniversary, and my wife would leave me that night to go to this bachelorette weekend. I'm upset because my wife knew when our anniversary was. She knows this friend doesn't like me at all, and the friend has made digs and comments about my wife getting married before her. I understand my wife is between a rock and a hard place, but I'm tired of having to be understanding at the expense of my feelings over this friend. Edit. I don't know why everyone is dragging my wife. I've said several times, this woman is a bully. Have you never had a friend who is clearly friends with a bully? It's a hard place to be in, especially when the bully has been their friend for nearly 20 years. I have seen my wife interact with this friend and be mentally drained continuously now. It's a toxic relationship, and those aren't things that are easy to get rid of. I've been in a fair few myself, so it's not as simple as she needs to block her. Edit 2. I just had a very long discussion with my wife and explained my feelings. She's ending her relationship with this woman later this week after their party, so there isn't any fallout. She said her own anxiety about the situation was clouding her judgment and making her feel how I did isn't what she wants at all. I'm an action speaks louder than words sort of person, so we'll see what happens. But she was heartbroken and worried that I was going to start the conversation with a divorce. Am I the jerk for canceling our apartment signing after I found out that my boyfriend bought an expensive car? My boyfriend, 31 male, and I, 28 female, have been together for just over 2 years. We've been living with roommates and been looking to move in for a while. It's expensive and I have a dog, so it's been difficult finding a landlord that would be okay with a dog. My friend has been moving out, and she has a dog too and is willing to sublet for us. The landlord said they're okay with signing us if we want to stay after the 8-month sublet. It's a fairly good price near work, so I'm happy with it. We went through the credit check and we're about to sign it, but recently I discovered that my boyfriend bought another car. He already has a daily driver, but wants a weekend car, which I personally find ridiculous why anyone needs two cars. He has a Honda Accord that's fine, and he's never complained about problems with it. But he recently said he bought another car. He isn't the best with saving money. He really likes to spend till the last dollar and doesn't have any savings. I've had to bail him out twice on rent. We both pay around $1,100 plus utilities, and he makes around $70K a year, so he should have savings, but he doesn't. He paid me back, but it was months later than we agreed on. So I wasn't really happy that he did this, but I didn't realize he bought such an expensive car. He didn't show it to me until Saturday when he picked me up in a Corvette. I don't know what model it is, but I asked him how much it was, and he said it wasn't my business, and I was upset that he bought a clearly expensive car. He admitted later, because I refused to let it go, it was $42,000 and he had traded in the Honda. Even then, his payments are almost $800 a month. I was so mad he did that, especially because he asked me to cover part of his share of the apartment security deposit a week before he bought the car. I called my friend and apologized and told her I can't sign the lease, and she said she was okay with it. I hadn't paid the deposit yet, thankfully, and my roommate is okay with me staying, so I'm good. But my boyfriend's lease is ending and the landlord wants him out, so he's mad at me for canceling us moving in together because now he still needs to move and will probably be paying more than if we moved in together. He yelled at me for butting in on his business, saying it's not my business what he buys. I think that's fair, but he also doesn't have any money and bought an expensive car, so if anything goes wrong, I have to pay his share of the rent. Not the jerk. He hasn't paid you back for all the times you've had to cover his rent, but it's not your business that he buys himself a Corvette? Why keep dating this man? You clearly can't trust him. Money is something that breaks up relationships. It's clear the two of you are incompatible in your attitudes towards money. You think he should save, he thinks money is for spending. He's blurry about the lines between your money and his money, or he wouldn't have asked you to cover for him while not mentioning he was buying an expensive car. It's a good call to not move in with him. Not the jerk. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her boyfriend? Please let us know. I've always been a frugal saver that lives far below my means, but I appreciate people who spend every penny they possibly can. They're the ones who keep our economy afloat. My annoying sister demands we eat dinner together as a family. I, 42, am the eldest of 8 siblings. This concerns my youngest sister, Elena, who's 23. Me and my husband have 2 kids who are 16 and 13. Elena's staying with us for 4 months because she started at a new college and she needs some time to sort out housing. She's been here for a couple of weeks so far. Last night, she made dinner for everyone. She said that she wanted to. The way dinner usually works in my household is I dish up the food, then my kids take it up to their rooms to eat. We obviously have family dinner too, but this is just more convenient for all of us as we don't have to spend time setting the table every day, and we can eat at different times if needed. Also, by different times, I don't mean someone eats at 7 p.m. and someone else eats at 3 a.m., just a small gap. I know this isn't for everyone, and that's okay, but this is what works for our family. Elena knows this. So last night she made fried dumplings, orange chicken, fried rice, and chocolate cake for dessert. I went into the kitchen to thank her, and I saw her setting the table. I told Elena that she doesn't need to do that, and we'll take food from the pot. My 13-year-old started saying she was hungry, so I went to go get food since everything was done. But Elena stopped me and said to wait a few minutes and we'll eat together. Again, I told her that's not really how it works around here. One of my kids is hungry now, but my 16-year-old usually eats a bit later. Elena then said she was going to serve the dumplings first, then chicken and rice and cake after. I repeated to her, again, we can get the main food at once, cake later, and if anyone wants seconds, we'll come and get it. It's fine, no need to set the table. She looked upset and said she wants to have a nice dinner together and involve the kids. I had enough at this point. So I told her I know my kids and my family. She doesn't get to dictate what we do in my home. My husband saw what was going on and told Elena thanks, but we know how to serve ourselves. Elena eventually understood, but she was acting sulky and giving me the cold shoulder this morning. Am I the jerk? Update. It's pretty early in the morning, but I'm up and wanted to post an update. Couldn't reply to all the comments, but I'll cover some questions people were asking here. Firstly, thanks to the comments who were kind and tried to understand both mine and Elena's side, and I can see we had some communication issues. 1. I knew even before I posted, a lot of people would gloss over the question I was even asking and immediately jump on, "We have our dinner separately." As I mentioned, I know this doesn't work for everyone. That's fine. This is what works for us. I don't neglect my kids. They're happy, healthy teens. 2. A lot of comments about what we do at restaurants. We eat at restaurants how everyone eats at restaurants. My home is not a restaurant, so we eat here how we eat at home. 3. Some comments saying Alina wanted to make dinner because she was feeling lonely and we made her feel lonelier. No, she said she wanted to make a meal because she had some news to share. I never ask her to make food, do any chores, etc. She's free to do as she wishes. I did have a chat with Alina that we appreciated the meal, but she's been here for a few weeks already and knows very well what our eating routine is like. I did apologize for a misunderstanding on my part, but having dinner exactly the way she wants isn't the only form of appreciation. We all told her the food was delicious because it was, and that should be enough. She seemed to understand and said okay, but was still a little quiet around us, so I think I'll let her cool off for a bit. You're the jerk. Your sister made a 3-course meal and wanted to eat together. Would it be such a big deal to break the disjointed mealtime tradition just once? Tell her I'll sit at the table and eat all of that. Am I the jerk for not sharing my lotto winnings with my girlfriend? Last month during my birthday, I went out and bought myself a lottery ticket. Just one ticket to commemorate my first birthday without my grandma. She passed 2 weeks prior. 2 days ago, I found out that I won. I received the news while hanging out with my partner of 4 years. In my country, jackpot winnings are not taxed. Therefore, if you win 5 mil, you get to keep it all. I have 6 months to claim the money from the board. I'm currently renting an apartment and her house is still on its mortgage. Our cars are both paid off. I'm in no rush to claim the money though, because I think I have 6 months to do so. So last night, she asked me about what I'm going to do with the money. I told her I've been eyeing a new warehouse which cost around 1.3 mil. Showed her how I'm going to convert that warehouse into an industrial loft. She asked about a car, so I said maybe I'll get a new car, but I'll keep the old one because it's my first car. Suddenly, she said that she called the bank earlier and asked how much was left on her house's full settlement, and the banker said that she owes $230K more. I kept quiet. Then she said she'd love a new Corolla Cross Hybrid. I told her I didn't think to count her in on the math of dividing the winnings. In fact, I didn't really plan anything yet. She said even if I give her 1 mil, it won't make a dent on the amount that I'm about to receive. She can't believe that I have no intention of sharing the wealth after 4 years of being together. Plus, it's mere luck. It's not like I worked hard to get that much money. She left my house abruptly after that. She's not angry, just frustrated. She didn't call me a jerk, but I sure feel like one. Am I the jerk? So, this is not really me answering whether you're the jerk or not, just some advice. Speak to a financial advisor and do it alone. You hear a lot of horror stories about lottery winners ruining their lives because they don't do things properly. With as much as you won, you could live off the interest alone. They will advise you the best options going forward, including sharing of your fortune. You can talk to them about your warehouse plan and they'll talk about other things you may want to do, including where to keep your money, etc. In my opinion, this is your money. If you share anything with her, good for her. But if you don't, she has lost nothing. Am I the jerk for yelling at my sister after she called my partner a gold digger? So I, 30 male, come from a well-off family, but my dad always taught me to work hard and to have class. When I was 14, I started working at my dad's company part-time to earn my allowance, and when I turned 16, I became a real part-time employee. My dad decided to retire when I was 29 and handed the business to me. Back in my second year of uni, I met Kim, who was 20 at the time, but 29 now. We were in the same course and ended up in the same group for a group project near the beginning of the year. We had a similar sense of humor and clicked as friends instantly. One day he mentioned he loves to cook, and I told him we should cook together because I love to cook too. And that weekend we went to his place, bought some ingredients and cooked together. Then this became us going shopping for ingredients after classes on Friday. I'd stay at his place the night and we would cook on the weekend, and this became our weekly routine. Back then, I just told others that we were friends, but with hindsight, that is definitely when I started to fall for him. I finally asked him out a few months later and he said yes. We lived in the same house with 2 other friends in our 3rd year, and I asked him to move in with me after we graduated. From the beginning, I told Kim I would not care if he didn't work, but he insisted he wanted to contribute financially. But after about a year, I had to make him stop due to differences in our incomes. He was working himself half to death and was getting ill trying to contribute enough. I sat him down and told him that whatever money he made didn't matter, that if he wanted to work, I wanted him to be happy. He cut back his hours, then moved to part-time, then decided to quit and work on his own projects, but he insisted I let him take on some of the housework. Now on to the issue. My sister, 32 female, she and her partner, 31 male, both work, and he also makes significantly less than her, and in private to me, she's made it known that she resents being the breadwinner. She sees all her male colleagues spoil and treat their wives and wishes her partner would do the same. He does, but just not to the same level due to the fact that he makes basically half as much as they do. Recently, I was talking to her about what I was going to get Kim for his birthday next month. She kept telling me ideas were too much and that I should get something cheaper since he doesn't contribute. I got a bit annoyed because I've told her about Kim's insecurities of not making enough money. I told her he contributes more than enough. She then called him a glorified gold digger, and I yelled at her, telling her to shut up and to not talk about Kim that way. After calming down, I do feel bad now. I know that she feels bad about her own financial position, but I don't think it's fair that she takes that out on Kim or myself, even if Kim wasn't physically there. So, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. It sounds like your sister is projecting her frustrations and insecurities onto you and Kim. If your relationship with Kim works for you and he, your sister needs to butt out. Am I the jerk for kicking out my nephew since he thought it was his house? Okay, so I'm female, 25, and my nephew is 20. This all happened a few weeks ago, but here's the backstory. Me and my nephew grew up together, and I took care of him for most of my childhood and teen years. Even though we're 5 years apart, I still had to take care of him, and I really never minded. He's family, and I care for him a lot, but growing up, he would steal my stuff and not give it back, or give it back ruined or damaged. Instead of getting in trouble, it was always me getting in trouble since I was the oldest. Since he had a rough childhood, I had to let him do whatever he wanted. I honestly did not like that because I raised him the best I could being a teenager, and I didn't have a choice. I had to clean, I had to cook for him, and it made me upset. But that's in the past. Currently, I have an apartment and I needed help paying rent, and my nephew offered to live with me and pay some rent. His college is a 10-minute drive away from there, and where we used to live, it's like a 40-minute drive, so he moved in with me. At first, he was paying it, and then slowly he stopped paying it. Obviously, I let him know that he does have to pay rent, and that if he could pay me soon, and he never did. He just said that since I'm his aunt and I'm older, I have to pay for everything for him, which really upset me. I know that I didn't raise him to be like that. I found out that he was doing certain things that he wasn't supposed to be doing. I also found out he's been stealing money from my room. He doesn't give me money for anything. He just goes to school and stays in my apartment rent-free, and I can't support the both of us. I've told his mom about it and my mom, and all that they told me was that I should support him and give him money since I'm his aunt. I have money, but I can barely afford my own rent, and they want me to give him money just so he can go spend it? No way. I told him that he has to get a job or he can't live with me. Then he threatened to kick me out of my own apartment, so I snapped and I kicked him out. I threw his clothes out and I told him not to come back. Most of my family doesn't want to talk to me right now. They're mad at me, and my cousins are the only ones talking to me. The rest of the family is not. Am I the jerk? Update. I want to say thank you to everyone for being brutally honest with me, and I want to clear a few things up. I'm the youngest of my siblings, and yes, I get it that maybe it wasn't the best idea to let him live with me, but I raised him, and I really just couldn't leave him like that, and since he said he would pay, I thought it would be okay, but obviously it wasn't. But I've cut them out, and I've left his stuff in the lobby, and nobody wants to take him. But I'm done with him. Not the jerk. You're his aunt, not his parents nor his guardian. You're a young adult learning to navigate life yourself, and this is not your burden to bear. Your family is literally teaching your nephew to mooch off of others and to be entitled. You shouldn't have been in that position to raise him to start with. If he's unable to support himself, he should move back in with his parents. If that isn't an option, he can go check with the extended family that's harassing you and stay with them. He can also look into local assistance programs for housing if no one will take him in. Under no circumstances should you let him back. He's already proven that he won't respect you and that all he wants is a free ride. The audacity of him thinking he can kick you out of your own apartment just blows my mind. Am I the jerk for not wanting to get to know my parents? I, 25 female, was the glass child in my family. Youngest of 5. I'm the only one without severe health or mental issues, so I fell through the cracks. I spent almost all my time alone in my room reading or playing video games. I generally didn't mind this. I want to make it clear here that I don't resent my parents or my siblings. They did not make me my siblings' caretaker. My things were never taken for my siblings' benefit. I was just invisible because I didn't need them the way that the other four did. When I was 9 or 10, I made friends with two girls who were also in similar situations as mine, and we were, and still are, our own little found family. I went to college with just those two. I graduated with just those two. I moved to a new state with just those two. My family were busy and that was fine. I didn't mind because that's just how life is when you have 4 sick siblings. Fast forward to November of 2023. Mom calls me 3 days before Thanksgiving, which is super unusual because we don't talk. The last time we spoke on the phone was when she was telling me the time and place of a sister's funeral. We text small talk occasionally. Our relationship is incredibly surface level, and honestly, that's an improvement from my high school years when we had no relationship. Mom asks what time to expect me for Thanksgiving. I had no idea they were planning Thanksgiving this year. She never mentioned it before this. I already had plans. Also, if she wanted me to come for Thanksgiving, I would have needed to book a plane ticket months ago. Giving me 3 days notice is not okay with me. She didn't remember that I now live 2 states away, but was upset that I would have her alone on Thanksgiving, which felt very guilt-trippy to me because she has dad. When I refused to come a couple of times, she hung up on me. After about 30 minutes of scrolling back to check our messages and making sure that I hadn't missed something, I hadn't, I sent her a text to let her know I had a skiing trip booked for Christmas this year, but I'd love to catch up with her and dad after the new year. Shortly after, I received a text message from dad telling me that if I didn't come home for Christmas, he would stop paying for my college. I reminded him I graduated 3 years ago, and that if he was still paying for someone's school, he should look into that because he's being scammed. To be honest, I was pretty upset at that point about the guilt trip and the threats, so I just put my phone on mute and ignored it. Mom called a couple more times, but then stopped. She did not text me on Thanksgiving or Christmas and did not respond to me texting her. Now it's February. I haven't spoken to my parents since, and my 2 besties are telling me I'm kind of being a jerk, that they would both be super happy if their parents tried to reach out to them. Am I the jerk because I just don't care that they tried to reach out? Not the jerk. Your father is so out of touch that he forgot you graduated over 3 years ago. Your mother forgot you live 2 states away, and I bet you haven't been there for Thanksgiving or Christmas for years. Am I the jerk for not wanting to parent my husband's adult kids who are my age? Let me start by addressing the age gap. I was in my 30s when I met my husband, and as I don't want kids of my own or to be a parent, I liked that his kids were already grown and that he wouldn't want any more. I pursued him, and we've been together for 8 years now. He has 2 kids from his first marriage that are roughly 35 and 40. Occasionally, they would ask for money here and there, and he always gave it to them. Sometimes it would be paid back, sometimes not. Personally, I believe that the way to help them is by saying no so they can figure out their own finances, and I've told him this on many occasions, but it's not my business to tell him how to parent his kids. Over the past couple of years, things have gotten out of control, particularly with the younger one. They have a baby now, so obviously expenses have risen. Asking for money is monthly and has clearly become the solution to their money problems. Their mom also recently received an inheritance, so now they think that she's a cash cow. She has confided that the younger one owes her over $10,000. I have not totaled what we are owed. The asks are generally between $100 to $500 a month, and I'm sure that it's more than my husband lets on. Tonight, he wanted to have them over for dinner and to see the grandbaby, to talk about their finances and what they're going to do. New jobs? Move to a cheaper part of town? Figure out why they're asking for money every single month and what to do about it. This is too much parenting for me to be involved in, and I let my husband know that. I would make plans to be elsewhere so as to not be in the uncomfortable situation of acting as a parent to people who are practically my own age. He said that it was fine and that he would go by himself to the store. I asked him to wait for me and that I would go with him because there's no money in his account. He just gave them $150 each and we could use my card. Then he got upset and said, "You're not part of this." Which, yeah, I'm not going to parent your adult kids, but I can supply the food for you to make them dinner. I grabbed my coat and was ready to go, and he was still upset and no longer wanted to have them over at all and texted them to cancel and told them he didn't have enough money to make them dinner. Now he's complaining that he thought we were a team and that I can do whatever I wanted to do tonight. I haven't made plans yet because it all happened so fast. He's acting like I ruined his plans with his kids. I love my husband and we have a great relationship. We are a team. I just don't feel like I should be involved with parenting his kids. We're so close in age, it makes me extremely uncomfortable. It's not my place. I did not raise them, so I'm not sure why I should be expected to start doing so now. Am I the jerk? Update. Had the dinner, but decided to hold the talk for when mom can attend, so we are all together on what needs to happen. Talked it out with husband as to everyone's expectations and my involvement. Thanks to everyone who helped me look at this from both sides. I appreciate everyone's opinion. I convinced him to keep the dinner on schedule. As the day has progressed, he actually started to get more and more nervous about the talk. So I think those who said he wanted my support are spot on. I've decided to be here, but I'm still unsure of my place in the money conversation. Edit to add that I do not need my husband financially, and I have a good career in which I make plenty of money to support myself. A conversation in which your husband attempts to counsel them about their finances is parenting, at least in this instance. It's not the same as a friend who isn't loaning money speaking to a friend about finances. They're his kids, they're adults, but he's still parenting them. I'm in my 30s, and if I had to have this conversation with my parents, I definitely wouldn't want some person my own age involved in trying to give me that advice. Am I the jerk for giving my niece a gift that was too expensive for her birthday? I'm 34 male. My niece just turned 18 and there was a big family get-together. I have no kids of my own and I love my nieces, so I wanted to give her something personal. I'm a semi-professional gem cutter. It's mostly a hobby, but I also facet and sell to local jewelers when time allows. I made a red garnet as a gift for her and then recruited a jeweler and friend I often work with to make it simple but beautiful rose gold pendant and chain for her. The necklace was an instant hit. She absolutely loved it and started to cry and hugged me over and over. Everyone came over to look at it, and I was a little proud of my work. Her younger sisters, who are 15, twins, were especially up in arms over it, and now I've decided to do something similar for them when they turn 18. Yesterday, my sister called me and was angry and said I shouldn't have given her daughter such an expensive gift. She and my niece had an appraisal done for the necklace for insurance. This was completely unnecessary since, 1, insurance does not require a third party, and I could have told them the value, and 2, I'd already given them information on how to insure it. Rules can be a bit weird if it's stored in her parents' house. The appraisal was almost spot on, at my country's equivalent of just short of $4,000 US. My friend estimated he could get $4,000 to $5,000 if it was a custom job for a normal customer. I didn't spend anything near that making it. Uncut gems aren't necessarily that expensive. It all depends on size, color, treatment, origin, etc. The rest is just the time and effort put into it. I didn't even pay my friend except for materials, a few lunches, and for letting him use it as a showpiece a few months before I gave it to my niece. My niece had apparently worn it nonstop since I gave it to her, including to a few parties and other events prior to the appraisal. My sister said it was not appropriate to give her something that expensive. I agree that wearing it to the club wasn't the best idea, but I couldn't really see what the problem was, as my niece is responsible. I called my niece after that, and yes, she'd worn it to a party, but now she would take better care of it and only wear it on special occasions. We talked for a while, and it didn't really sound like the big deal her mother had made it out to be. So I called my sister again today and prodded some more. It came out that when they found out its value, she and my brother-in-law felt that my gift overshadowed theirs, and those from the rest of the family. She got other nice gifts as well, including a used car and a racetrack experience. She likes cars. I explained that much of the value comes from the time put into it. She kind of understood, but was still mad at me and firm in her position that I shouldn't have given it to her. I really don't think I did anything wrong, and I'm a bit bummed out here. Am I the jerk? Not sure if I'm allowed to throw in an extra question, but would I be the jerk if I did the same for the twins? The value of the gift was literally created with your hands and effort. That's why it's worth so much. Her parents should be proud that you think so much of them instead of complaining. I'm planning a quilt for my niece's graduation. I hope it will be beautiful and valuable when I'm finished, but the work is what gives it the value. Without my skill and effort, it's just a pile of fabric. They've turned an honor into bitterness with their own selfishness. Not the jerk. Am I the jerk for telling a new friend not to come to brunch unless she can keep it light? I've had an awful week. I won't go into every unnecessary detail, but suffice to say, the collision of various medical, work, and relationship stressors all at once have me on my last nerve. I banged my wrist on a doorknob yesterday and sunk to the floor and cried on the spot for a half an hour because I just couldn't take one more thing. I had brunch planned for today with a pretty new acquaintance. It was actually scheduled weeks ago, so I didn't anticipate what kind of shape I was going to be in today. We've hung out a handful of times and we have a lot in common, and she has a bit of an oversharing problem. My life sucks right now because I'm like a lightning rod for 2 years worth of crap that goes wrong to happen all at once. Her life sucks for more long-term family and mental health related reasons, which she started going into with ever-increasing levels of detail. I'll be honest, it's way too much for how little we actually know each other, and I'm really not in a place to become close friends with someone who chronically does not have a modicum of their crap together. But because of my current lightning rod situation, I've not been able to make a clean break. So I figured I would just get through the day today and then tell her I needed to take a step back when I had a crumb of dopamine to spare for the uncomfortable conversation. At like 6 a.m. this morning, she starts texting me stuff like, "You're literally the only person I can trust," and "I guess I've got a week to find my own place," and "Everything falls apart." Like, okay, relatable. But also, what? Girl, I am not your Facebook wall circa 2011, and I'm just thinking ahead to the hour-long hardcore trauma dump session that I'm about to endure. So I text her back and say, "Hey, I'm really sorry for everything you're going through right now, but I'm really in no position to be anyone's emotional support right now. So if you don't think you can have brunch today without bringing up intense crap, I'd rather just cancel." Response was basically, "Wow, okay." Followed up several hours later with a bombardment of tweets about how the world doesn't revolve around me and how she's so sorry that the crap going wrong in her life right now didn't want to wait until it was convenient for me. But it sucks to be vulnerable and in need of a listening ear and be told essentially to just shut up. Also that I care more about enjoying my brunch than I do about being an empathetic person. Now I don't know if my exhaustion and stress made me act like a jerk or if it made it justified to want to have a meal where I could actually relax for an hour. I'm actually going to say not the jerk. I don't buy that people who overshare and dump on near strangers don't have any idea what they're doing. She trapped you in an uncomfortable position by breaking social rules, and you broke social rules right back, to a lesser degree, to get out of it. You might be the jerk in a different situation, but she was already behaving in a way that was not okay. It's not wrong to get out of there and protect yourself. Everyone sucks here. Honestly, I totally get where you're at, and I feel the drama hurricane that follows this person. I also see you are in a raw and rough state. I totally get wanting to guard yourself and wanting to set those boundaries. You could have chosen a much more diplomatic way to state the obvious there, Captain. Someone else said if this is the way you both are, then maybe it's good the friendship is on its way out. Not all people vibe, and that's okay. You're the jerk so much. Hey, I'm sorry to hear that, but I've had a horrible week, and I just want to scream my pain into the void, and I'm definitely not in the headspace to be a good friend right now. I need to cancel brunch until a time when I can actually hear you. Thank you for understanding. You need to grade my test accurately. It's for a scholarship. I really try to be a positive and supportive, caring college instructor. My clientele are mostly college-age students enrolled in what is basically a pre-algebra course my community college likes to call college math. I have the occasional young whiz kid who enrolls in my course to be super advanced, but for the most part, young adults in their 20s and 30s are who I teach, and solving systems of equations by substitution is currently what I teach them. I have many students who struggle and require additional tutoring, and I'm always happy to oblige. There's this one student who I wish would show up to our makeshift tutoring group, but who never does. Let's call her Mara. Mara seriously acts like we're back in high school, interrupting my demonstrations. "Hey, OP, my dad says this isn't the way to solve it. Mr. OP, why don't you teach at ASU? Our partnering major university we transfer students to. What did you do wrong that you're teaching at this place?" The list goes on and on. We have an exam that about half the class got a 90 or better on, followed by most of the rest getting B's and C's, etc. I know that this community college, despite its cheap cost, still has many students on full scholarships for one thing or another, whether it be sports, personal hardships, activities, etc. That being said, if I notice a student tank the test, I may just grade the thing on a curve to allow them to get the most points possible. This is what I chose to do for Mara, and she wound up with an 18 out of 25 on her exam. I typed in the score and took a glance at her paper afterward and realized that she actually missed yet another question, a major one that would have brought her grade super low. I decided to look the other way. Part laziness, part being nice. Let's not say how much each part is worth, but they're not equal. So it's time to return the test that I already had graded in the system when Mara starts up with her questions again. They are literally too tiresome to include. I will say her final piece, however. Mr. OP, I noticed that you gave me an 18 out of 25 on my last test. Could I take a look at the test and see what I got wrong? I definitely didn't miss that much. I tried to use inflection to let her know that she should probably just be happy with the 18 by saying, "Yeah, I think I'd be happy with the 18 there, kiddo." Then she suddenly dropped a petty pebble on top of a snowy hill. She continues, this time standing, walking towards me and pointing her Cruella de Vil finger at me, saying, "No, you can't just put whatever you want for my grade. 18 out of 25 is not even possible. I need to keep my GPA high because of all my scholarships. You need to grade my test accurately." Enter pettylicious compliance. I knew good and well that she did not deserve, by any stretch of the imagination, anywhere near the 72 that 18 out of 25 got her. She didn't master 72% of the content. She didn't get 72% of the questions correct. I'll be honest and say that when I grade dozens of exams, I tend to look at the most important questions on each test and ensure these are 100% accurate. I always pepper in some spirally thinking type questions, stuff with rigor, but I don't grade against it. If I ever make an error in grading, it 150% of the time favors the student. I took her papers out of my case, file through the exams, and find her particular one, and look at it quizzically. Then I look back at her while my head is still positioned towards the paper. I'm trying so hard to give her an out, but she wouldn't budge. So I say, "You know what? You're right. I did make an error. Oh, crud. More than one." I then, behind my desk where the students couldn't see what I was looking at, graded her paper right then and there. By this time, I had memorized the answers to the exam without even needing to pull out the key, but I did so to show her that I was grading it thoroughly, accurately. She wound up with a 14 out of 25. I handed it back to her right then and there and let her know that I had changed the grade accordingly in her gradebook, that the 14 that she had just got turned her high C to a solid D. She looked through the exam, scouring through it like a madman. I also made sure I took a picture of the test before handing it back so she couldn't pull the "See, I made it negative, it's right" sort of thing. She's done that in the past. She quickly whipped out her phone to see how much this impacted her grade overall. She was livid without a direction to hurtle it towards. I could see that this act of petty malicious compliance on my part was a little too far. I actually felt bad for Mara. As she looked up at me, I could see her eyes well up a bit. It was that too quiet right before something bad was about to happen. My spidey senses were tingling. Before she started to take her clenched arms, that she looked like she was trying to remove the top of the desk from its connected chair and turn them on me, I offered a solution. "Look, Mara, remember, you can do the corrections on the exam for a fourth of the credit, okay? That will get you almost all of the points that you were gifted in the first place. What do you say?" She sheepishly agreed, wound up with a 17.5 out of 25, and has yet to give me a hard time since. But I'm pretty sure my semester survey will suffer greatly. Am I the jerk for moving out when my parents asked me to pay rent? I, 23, am the oldest of 5 siblings, and I'm a full-time student. I also have a part-time job in my field, but when I complete my after degree, my employer will take me on full-time. I make enough from part-time to pay for school and put money aside. My siblings range from 20 to 10. Both of our parents work full-time. I've taken on a lot of the responsibilities for keeping everything running around the house. I do the grocery shopping, the laundry, as well as making supper and doing meal prep so that everyone has lunches ready to take every day. I also get all of my siblings to do their part with regards to household chores. For example, my youngest brother is responsible for feeding and walking the dogs, so I make sure that there is dog food in the storage and bags on the leash. My dad works very long hours, and my mom works 9 to 5 at a hard job. Over Christmas, I had a chance to buy a PS5 for myself, so I did. The rest of my family is still using a shared PS4. I keep mine in my room, and I do not share it. My parents started fielding complaints from my oldest brother about how I made so much money, and I don't share the things I buy for myself. Totally true. So they had a talk with me where they brought this up. I pointed out how much of the household work I did, and they said it wasn't fair that I was earning so much money without contributing. They told me how much they expected from me. I went to my room and I did the math. If I gave them what they wanted, I would have about $800 a month left over. If I dropped a couple of classes next semester, I could go to almost full-time hours with my employer, and it would only be one more year until I graduated with my second degree. But I could afford my own place, and I would have way more free time and disposable income. I packed up and moved out. Everything I owned fit in my car. I stayed at an Airbnb for 2 weeks until I could get everything sorted with an apartment, school, and work. It was great. I'm not going to lie, I may have gone a little overboard on Tinder. I couldn't have anyone over when I lived with my parents. I just moved into my own apartment. I'm staying part-time until I finish the semester. I'll work full-time over the summer and go to a lighter class load and higher work hours in the fall. My oldest brother has been tasked by my parents to do everything I used to do. His chores have been split up with the other 3. They're all upset with me for moving out. My parents are upset that I left them in the lurch. My siblings are mad that they all have more chores. My oldest brother is especially salty because he has no free time to see his girlfriend and she isn't allowed in the house when my parents aren't home. I'm enjoying my free time. I bought myself a plant from IKEA. I feel bad for doing them all over, but it didn't make sense for me to do all of that work and pay rent on top. Edit. All the chores were split fairly. I wasn't doing any more than anyone else. I thought it was fair until I was asked to put in money as well. Not the jerk. If you left them in the lurch, that should be a flashing sign of how much you were contributing. I was ready to call you the jerk, but you're carrying the entire mental load of the household. You shouldn't be expected to share the money you earn. Neighbors wouldn't quit dumping their trash in my backyard, so I returned it to them with some upgrades. I live in a house, but there's an apartment complex directly behind the back fence in my yard. The entire time I've lived here, I've always found random trash tossed over the fence that's gotten progressively worse. The most annoying thing is all of the glass beer bottles, as some of them hit the concrete and shatter, which makes it unsafe to let my dog run around in the yard. It's so trashy and inconsiderate behavior from people that I've never even met, and I've finally started trying to push back. First, I tried the legal route. I reported the illegal dumping to 311 as I couldn't figure out how to contact the building manager, and it was to the point of entire full trash bags ending up in my yard. They said they couldn't do anything, and I would be responsible for cleaning it up since it was in my yard. Annoying, but also basically gave me the green light to throw crap back over the fence, as 311 pretty plainly told me it only came down to whose yard the trash was in. So I went out with gloves and threw every single piece of trash back over the fence. Full trash bags, dirty shoes, beer bottles, used diapers, etc. These people think my yard is their personal dump, and it's not even one neighbor doing it. I caught multiple residents of this apartment complex on camera, casually tossing trash over the fence. Not even a full day later, and these losers had thrown it all back over. The audacity. It's not even just laziness at that point, as it would be significantly easier to just take it to the apartment's dumpsters, but they somehow felt entitled to throw trash into my yard, enough that they'd literally return it when I threw it back. Fair enough, two can play this game. First, I threw all of the full trash bags back over, but not just onto the ground. I tossed them all the way to the roof of the apartment complex, which isn't really accessible, and it's far from ideal given we're in a tropical climate that will make it smell quickly up there. Next, I took all of the dirty shoes, tied their laces together, and used a long pole to hang them from pretty much any projection off the side of the building that couldn't be reached. Also, I stuffed them with expired meat and doggy doo. I wanted to shatter the beer bottles as well, but I decided to just recycle them because I didn't want anyone to actually get hurt. You'd think that would be enough to prove my point, but I also went behind the fence that night and planted a bunch of running bamboo. There's a sort of alley between the apartments and my fence that's all grass, so the idea is to let it grow enough to block them from even walking through there to begin with. Bamboo is very hard to remove once it starts growing. This is what you get when you act like trash. I do not feel bad about my retaliation, even a little bit. Am I the jerk for dropping off my stepkids with my in-laws and saying that they're not my problem anymore? My wife passed just before last Thanksgiving. It came out of nowhere and I'm somewhat broken. To make it worse, my stepkids have decided that since I'm not their father, they don't have to obey me anymore. They're teens and they have never been my biggest fans. They love their dad and I was only ever their mom's husband. However, when Dina was alive, they treated our home well and me with respect. After she passed, they suddenly became jerks. Yes, I know their mom passed and it sucks, but that was my wife and the mother of my kids. I am also having a tough time dealing with this. Their paternal grandparents are also upset with me for not being more understanding of all that they're going through. I've tried. I've offered them counseling. I've given them space. I've been there for them. I'm at my wit's end. The last straw was when we were over there for supper last week. I said it was time to go so I could get the little ones to bed. My stepkids said that they didn't want to go and that I should leave them and come back for them. It's a 2-hour drive. I said no. Their grandparents said I was being too hard on them and that I should just let them stay. I'm having a hard time with my 2 small kids, the loss of my wife, and 2 teen jerks without having my in-laws pile on to make my life more difficult. So I did. I also packed up their stuff. Instead of coming back for them, I dropped off all of their stuff at their grandparents' house. I have 2 kids under 5 to take care of. I don't really have time to baby 2 teens that are just making my life harder. My house is clean for the first time in weeks. My kids are sleeping through the night. My stepkids are living with their uncle in the same city as me, so they can finish high school with their friends. Everyone on their dad's side is against me. I really don't care. I was told by both of them and their father that I'm not to try and parent them, so I'm not. I actually do not have any paternal rights over them. Their dad was not even okay with me being a contact for them at school, so his parents bear the contact. My wife left behind a small life insurance policy, which I will divide between the 4 kids, but I was the breadwinner in my house. I bought pretty much everything there for the last 8 years, so now it's all mine. My in-laws are calling me a selfish jerk for abandoning the kids, but I have 2 kids that need me more. My older 2 have a dad as well as grandparents to help them. My kids do too, I guess, but they also have me, and I want them to have a peaceful home. Not the jerk. They have lost their mom, absolutely right, so you would expect trouble and playing up, etc. But what I don't understand is why their dad hasn't swooped in. If you were such a hindrance, then where is he? As long as everyone is happy, including all of the kids and yourself, I wouldn't fret about anything, as I can't see what you've done wrong here. You haven't left them on the streets, you've left them with family, and they're happy. If Daddy is so worried, he can step in, can't he? Am I the jerk for excluding my niece from my son's birthday party after she ruined his first party? Last week, I hosted my son, James, who's 9, birthday party at my parents' house. I paid for and organized the whole event. We just had to use my parents' place because our house was being renovated. My parents had agreed and said that they had no problems. I had invited James' closest friends from school and football club for the party, and 2 of his cousins from his dad's side that he's very close with. James had made it clear he wanted a friends-only party, and I was okay with that. However, the day before, my sister Linda called me angry that her daughter Ava, who's 11, was not invited. I tried to explain that it wasn't a party for family members. Also, James wasn't very close to Ava. She's a bit spoiled and always picks fights with James whenever they're made to play together. Linda didn't want to listen and cried that Ava was having a hard time making friends in school, and it didn't help if her own cousin was excluding her. I felt sorry, but I didn't relent, and Linda cut the call. She then called Mom, and they tried to convince James behind my back. He also said no and told me. My parents apologized, and I thought that was it. Fast forward onto the party date. I have everything arranged, and the party's going well. Halfway through it, Linda arrives with Ava and my parents, saying that they'll end the party early if I don't let Ava join. I reluctantly did. James was upset, but I told him to ignore her and enjoy time with his friends. Ava tried joining the games, but would get upset and scream if she lost, and Linda would make the kids restart. Obviously, the kids lost interest and stopped playing, and it upset James. They tried playing football, but since Ava couldn't play, she constantly interrupted them. They went to the living room to play Xbox. Ava failed a few rounds and got angry and left. Nothing worked for her, and James didn't care. After a few hours, I took the kids to cut the cake, only to find Ava had thrown it to the floor and was crying at the table because everyone was mean to her. This was the final straw, and James started screaming at her. He called her a loser and evil and started crying because his party was ruined. Linda was upset and asked James to apologize. I stepped in and told Linda to take Ava and get out. My parents stepped in and told me James was out of line and Ava was just a kid. I was so angry then that I just ended the party altogether and told Linda her daughter has no friends because she's a brat. I called my husband and we took all the kids to McDonald's and got a different cake for James to cut there. I took pics and posted them to Facebook as well. Since then, I've received calls and texts from Linda calling me names for excluding Ava and has been demanding James apologize. My parents have berated me as well, and they're angry because James now refuses to speak to them. I'm not sure if James should apologize, and I don't want to either. We did nothing wrong, and I won't tolerate anyone ruining my son's birthday. But maybe I shouldn't have insulted Ava, so I don't know. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. I think the people who owe James the biggest apology are the grandparents. They threatened to end the party early if the cousin wasn't allowed in, and look what happened. She's a spoiled brat who can't control her impulses, and her parents don't care. At least you know now to never have a party in the environment you don't either own as your own home or control as the paid place. As for your son, yelling at her for ruining his cake, I'm surprised he didn't try to do more than just yell. And your son is very justified to not talk to your grandparents as well as that cousin ever again. Maybe if they would parent their kid and teach her some stuff, she would be able to make friends. If this is how she acts, why would anyone want to be around her? You saved the party as best you could, and I would definitely talk to your parents about the fact that they have no right to demand who comes to your son's party, even if it is their house. Am I the jerk for leaving the same day that I moved in with my boyfriend? I've been dating Matt, 26, for a little over a year. We knew each other 2 years prior to dating, and we got along really well. I have a son who's 2.5 and a daughter who's 4, who he had already met from multiple times when I was with the friend group. Here's the thing though. We just got a place together, but the place needed work before we could move in. So we agreed with the landlord that we would help fix it up with him, the landlord, to get half off the first month's rent. He agreed. So for a month, we were there every day cleaning this place up, and I started noticing some red flags, like a quick temper. But I literally just assumed it was because the AC wasn't working, and it was like a sauna in the house. So he was pouring sweat and getting upset. But again, I thought it was because he was hot, because as soon as he cooled off, he was fine again. But we finished the house. The AC was working again, so it was no longer hot. We moved in yesterday morning. He was barking orders basically all day to me, like telling me where to put things, or if I put something somewhere he didn't like, he would be like, "Why would you put that there?" and literally looked at me like I was stupid. He gave me the "Are you serious?" look, but I let it slide because I didn't really know what else to do. Every 15 minutes, he would be asking me to go with him to Walmart because he wanted to blow a bunch of money on stuff to make the place feel like home. We hadn't even unpacked half of our stuff yet. He got irritated when I said I didn't think we should spend more money right now. But anyways, I go and pick up my kids and stuff for dinner. I grabbed a family pack of kielbasa, sausage, the ones that have 3.5 strips, and rice. Well, I only cut up 2 of the sausage because that's literally plenty. He comes over and says, "Why aren't you making all of it?" So I told him I didn't need to make all of it, and that this would feed all of us and still be enough for leftovers. And I made a comment about how I was going to use the rest of the kielbasa that I wasn't cooking to feed my kids and myself the next day because I like kielbasa sandwiches. He blew up. Thankfully, the kids weren't inside to hear it. My mom came over and brought them to the park across the street. He told me there was no way that it would feed all of us and that I was selfish for only thinking about what I would eat tomorrow instead of worrying about feeding all of us tonight. Walked out and slammed the door after I said, "Are you really blowing up on me about food right now?" I watched him drive off. Well, I immediately started taking me and the kids' stuff out to the car and had my mom leave with my kids. I get everything loaded up before he gets back. Most of my stuff is in storage still. Well, I get a text from him about 25 minutes after I left saying, "Did you really leave? Please come back and talk to me. I'm sorry. I'm having such a bad day, and I'm just exhausted from working and doing the repairs here. You shouldn't have left over this, etc." Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. It was the audacity to say, "You shouldn't have left over this," when he literally left over it. The dude is a red flag, and you did nothing wrong. Not the jerk. Leaving was the right decision. He thought he had you in a position where you wouldn't leave. Started being a total jerk once you agreed to live together and started working on the apartment. It would only have gotten worse over time. You did what's best for you and your kids. New partner doesn't want my son to move in with us. Would I be the jerk if I broke it off? So I, 31 female, have an 11-year-old son from my previous marriage. Broke up 10 years ago. And I share custody with my ex. I have him every second weekend, ex has him most of the time. My current partner, 36 male, and I decided to move in together into his house with his 2 kids who are 6 and 8. I'm currently slowly moving household items when I get spare time, so I haven't fully moved in yet. Whilst dropping my son off to his father's house, it came to light during conversation that my ex has been mistreating him at times. I was incredibly upset. I started creating a plan to get him out. Ex and I don't have court orders, and when I got back to my partner's place and told him the situation and how I might have to get majority custody, he had a less than stellar reaction. He seemed less concerned about the incident, more so how I was going to continue working. I start at 5 a.m. most days and said things like, "What about my career?" I knew he might live with us, but not this soon. I didn't really consider this, etc. I was upset at his reaction. I mean, he's happy for me to move in and raise and financially support his kids and look after them, but why is my son different? I know what I have to do to protect my son, but I'm about to potentially blow up my relationship and take my career as well to have him back with me. I'm so lost right now and I have no idea what to do. My mind is going everywhere. Would I be the jerk if I stopped the move and potentially broke things off after this reaction from my partner? Was this just shock about the situation, or is there something bigger here? I know this is a mess, so I'm happy to answer any questions. Edit. I just want to make one thing clear to people who are taking time to read my post. I'm going to get my son out of there. I would never leave him in this situation. My question was more so aimed at, would I be the jerk for breaking things off because of my partner's reaction? I'm getting my son 100% and making sure that he's safe. He's not staying there. My top priority is my son and his safety. That was never in the question. You said it yourself. He's happy for you to move in with him to share the bills and help raise his 2 kids, but he's not happy to do the same for you. I can understand your boyfriend's concern to some level about you still needing to work. There are other jobs out there that will be more suitable hour-wise. That can all be sorted out with time. Entitled Mom Takes My Car. This happened yesterday, and I'm still mad. An important note, I'm in a wheelchair most of the time and have parking plates on our car. Our cast. We've got me, we've got my fiance, we've got entitled mother and entitled father. This past week, my fiance and I have been staying with her parents 4 hours away for her sister's wedding, along with more of her extended family. Until yesterday, the trip had been lovely. Her family are surprisingly accepting of us and helpful when it comes to my disability. We arrived a few days earlier than other family members, so fiance can spend more time with her parents and siblings. Since we've arrived, we've been joined by her grandparents, cool uncle and his kids, plus her brother, entitled father, his wife, entitled mother, and their kids. The wedding isn't until Saturday, so my fiance and I have been passing the time by exploring the area and checking out local cafes, and that was our plan for that day too. We woke up around midday, and after doing our makeup and getting dressed, we go to the driveway to find our car gone. Naturally, we start panicking and frantically asking everyone home if they know what happened, including entitled father. We cancel our plans for the day and spend 2 hours figuring out what to do when we hear a car pull into the driveway. We rush outside only to see our car pulling in and entitled mom and her kids climbing out. Fiance stomps up to her and demands to know what the heck she was doing. Me trailing along behind her. Fiance, what are you doing with our car? Entitled mom, I just borrowed it to go to this supermarket. Me, why didn't you take yours? Because it's busy at this time of day, and I wanted to get a spot. We just stared at her, dumbfounded, before entitled father rushed out of the house to join in. Entitled father, what's going on here? Entitled mom, they're angry at me for borrowing the car. Come on guys, it isn't a big deal. She had the kids with her. Me, then she can take her own car and park in a parent spot. Entitled mom, but parking at the door was so much easier. You try shopping with 4 kids. I don't want them walking through a car park. Plus, eldest kid has hurt his leg and needed it. After trying to explain how we didn't consider it borrowing if she didn't ask, how it was illegal for her to use my permit, and finding out entitled father had lied to us about knowing where our car was,
His wife finally snapped. She knelt down in front of me and grabbed the wheels of my chair, holding me in place. She got into my face and started screaming. "If you're so sick you can't even walk, I'd be disappointed if I were your parents. Who would want you for a daughter? You're lucky you're not my kid." I had enough at this point and started crying. I can't handle things like this, and I'm the first to admit I'm a crybaby. Here is when fiance's parents rush out of the house to see what's happening, and entitled mom turns on her own waterworks. She starts crying about how we're awful and selfish and will never understand how hard it is to raise kids. Fiance's dad made her get her shopping bag out of the car and got our keys off her. Turns out, entitled father snuck into our room when we were sleeping, took them, and gave them to entitled mom. The rest of the day, she was awful to the two of us, even tipping a whole glass of milk on me. After talking with fiance's parents about how uncomfortable we were staying with her while she's being like this, we made the decision to check into the local hotel for the rest of our stay. And here's the cherry on top. After packing our things and getting in the car, we noticed that entitled mom had removed our heart-shaped Pride air freshener, taken down the photo of fiance, me, plus a bunch of our friends, and messed with our radio. She also peeled off the sticker of the Team Instinct logo we had on our dash, along with throwing the Pikachu plush we had on there into the back of the car. Today is Thursday, and I'm really dreading having to see the two of them on Saturday. I hope they act like adults and don't cause a scene at the wedding. We've uninvited the two of them from our wedding, but sadly, the wedding on Saturday isn't ours, and we can't do anything about them being there. I absolutely love all the recommendations to sticker bomb their car in Pride stickers, and I'm absolutely considering that. It would upset her so much. We spoke to my in-laws, and they wanted to kick the entitled parents out of the house, but fiance and I decided to go to a hotel instead. Only so much I can handle being woken up at 6 a.m. by kids asking to play my Switch. Has anybody ever borrowed anything from you without asking? Please leave me a comment letting me know. Next we've got, get me fired? Say goodbye to your bonus and promotion. This happened a good long while ago. I was in high school and got a job at one of the big box stores in the computer department. This store chain had an in-house technician department, which was always where I wanted to go. After busting my butt in sales for 2 years, putting up with rude customers, silly rules, and all the other glorious trappings of a retail job, I finally got a chance to be promoted to the technician department. It was not as glamorous as I thought it would be. I quickly found out that most of the repairs consisted of running the pre-packaged antivirus suite, updating Windows, and doing data backups prior to wiping computers clean and reinstalling them. I always liked tinkering with hardware more, but since 80% of customers had laptops and those repairs were deemed too complicated by corporate, we would just send the laptops out to get repaired by the third-party vendor. It was still better than sales by a long shot, and we had a great team working in the technician area, except for one dude. Let's call him Mike. He always behaved like his crap smelled like roses. He was technically a lead technician, and even though that just meant he had a little more authority, he had access to a corporate account to arrange shipments of computers to and from our store. He was acting like he was the manager of our department. Nevertheless, our actual manager was a splendid dude that took care of us, and as such, Mike's jerkery did not bother any of us that much. Fast forward a little, and our awesome manager found a much better job. This opened up a spot for manager, and since the whole store supervision was going through a shakeup, the general manager had been fired, and all the people he hired, 90% of managers, were under review. This led to everybody trying their hardest not to mess up, and the new general manager decided that since our department was one of the best in the district, he would not try to hire an outsider, but would promote from within. Now, Mike was working at this store for almost 10 years at that point, and a couple of people that started working with him as sales associates were by this point managers and assistant managers. One of them, Brittany, was an assistant manager in charge of customer services and checkout. One of the conditions for Mike's official promotion to manager was to keep the #1 spot in the district performance-wise. One of the key metrics was the rejection rate from our third-party vendor. If we mistakenly sent them a software problem to fix, they would charge us extra. Mike started obsessing about those numbers, especially when it came to the rejection rate. He insisted that we would spend extra time to confirm issues even when there were recalls from manufacturers for these items. I hated this bureaucracy, since it meant that people needed to wait almost the maximum allowed time to get their computers back. So a few times I skipped the extra diagnostics when I knew for sure the problem was hardware. One day, Mike decided to do an audit on all outgoing machines and found out that I've sent 4 units skipping his extra checks. He told me that he will write me up for it, but when he tried, General Manager told him that he is not a manager yet, and I have shown to the GM that I followed the corporate procedure in diagnosing these units. I thought that was the end of this, but I was sorely mistaken. Mike hated that I showed a GM that Mike's procedure was inefficient and that he was denied power over me. About a month later, I got a call from Mike asking if I could come to the store on my day off because there was an issue with a customer. When I came in, I was greeted by Mike with a crap-eating grin, and he told me to wait in the back and not to work on any computers. After about an hour, Mike and Brittany came in and asked me to head to the front office. They started an official write-up process and claimed that I have made a mistake creating a backup of customers' data and have placed a DVD with no data on it into the box that was returned to customer and then wiped his PC clean. I knew it was BS, since I always copy the data to an external hard drive, run antivirus to make sure that nothing bad got copied, and then burn DVDs. Yet, when I asked to check the external hard drive, Mike said that due to my negligence, I was not allowed back in the tech area. He went to check the hard drive and said there was nothing on it. At that point, I knew he was BSing, but him and Brittany were hard-bent on completing the write-up. I have asked for a senior management to be present and was shot down again. Turns out GM was on vacation. They completed the write-up and told me that due to the egregious error that cost the company tens of thousands of dollars, I was not allowed to work in the tech room and I would be relegated back to the sales floor. I told them to shove it and submitted my resignation on the spot. I later found out that a week later, they gave the customer the data that was on the hard drive all this time. Mike simply erased the DVDs. I grabbed a rewritable DVD by mistake for that backup and waited for the customer to come back and complain. I have also called the corporate HR line and told them what happened. They said that since I quit with a letter of resignation, they would not launch an investigation, but they have received and recorded my complaint. Through luck and the fact that I was a good hardware tech, I landed a job at a shop that did hardware repairs a week later and started in another week. Turns out, this depot was the service center that covered the entire district, and they had the master contract with the big box chain where I worked. Since I have worked as the tech in that store, I was more than familiar with their labeling and ticketing system. For tracking purposes, the label included the store and technician number. After a couple of weeks, I gathered some goodwill at my new job and started trading the units with my colleagues to work on as many units from my old store as possible. Over the next 3 months, I made sure that every single unit sent in by Mike would come back with an extra charge. Also, it turned out that Mike, since he was in charge of shipping, would sometimes steal other technicians' tickets to boost his personal performance numbers to secure that manager position. Well, that bit him in the butt hard. There was one week in particular where he sent in over 15 units out of 20 to get fixed, and 15 units came back with extra software charge. I have also kept detailed records that proved that Mike did not follow his own policy of extra checks. When the performance figures came out for that quarter, store crashed into 5th place from number 1. Mike missed out on his promotion and a big bonus that was promised to him. A good buddy of mine from the store got the manager position a few months after that, and I have explained to him how to reduce the number of software charges to almost 0. So he looked like a superstar. Mike was first relocated to lead technician, then he was either let go or he quit. I'm not sure. Last I heard, he started his own mobile technician business that folded after a year. What I didn't know is that this whole incident with Mike messing up led the GM to review everything Mike did, including my write-up and dismissal. As it turns out, they did not even register the write-up since I quit on the spot and buried it. The only way GM was able to find it is because of the HR complaint that was filed against both Mike and Brittany. GM was not very pleased that they went behind his back to get rid of someone and fired Brittany. He was a very decent man who called me later that day and apologized and even offered me my old job back. I thanked him, but I was making more money at the new place and did not have to deal with the customers, so I passed. Have you ever had a boss that you just couldn't stand? Please leave me a comment right now letting me know. Next we've got, guy scams me online, he loses, I become a hero. This story dates back to around February 2017. I had just gotten CSGO for the PC I got a few months prior to Christmas. I bought the game and had a bit of money left over, so I opened some cases and unboxed an awesome new skin. The skin was worth about $20 at the time, and I was very pumped because the odds of getting something good from a case in that game are crazy low. Naturally, I go and play a few games with my new skin in its full glory. Enter Brad, not real name. I met Brad in a match in Dust 2, and we started chatting. He was 16, seemed like a cool guy, and so I added him. We started playing together often and became pretty good buddies in about a week's time, and we even had each other on Instagram. We were pretty tight. One day, Brad tells me to get online and watch him gamble CSGO skins, so I hop on Skype and watch. He goes onto his site and starts winning a pretty good amount, and I'm obviously super intrigued by it. He starts telling me that he is super good at this and would be willing to do it for me. Looking back, I cannot believe I was that stupid, so I traded him my skin, eager to watch him win me something better. Boom. Call ends. Blocked on Skype. Blocked on Steam. Blocked on Instagram. Zero means of contact. My skin was gone. I knew I should have just let it go right there. I had learned a very valuable lesson for the low price of $20, and I could drop it and move on. But I was actually really hurt by the whole ordeal. I thought we were friends, and it really upset me. I instantly start messaging mutual friends of me and Brad, and the ones that also didn't get blocked instantly either ignored me or called me an idiot. I made another Steam account, added him, and tried begging. No luck, blocked again. I reported him, which obviously did nothing at all. I was completely out of luck. But then, after a day or so, the feelings of disappointment washed over and anger started to take its place. I was gonna get this guy back. It quickly became a bit of an obsession to get back at this guy in any way possible. I tried angry emails, obviously didn't work. Tried to lurk on Facebook, nada. This went on for about 3 to 4 days until I nearly gave up. What was so frustrating is that I actually had a lot of info on him and the city he lived in, and it was getting me absolutely nowhere. I was nearing giving up till I tried what I thought would be a Hail Mary option. I went on Yellow Pages, put in his name, city, and hit enter. There was exactly one result that popped up. In this massive city with this odd last name, and bingo. I look up the house and it's clearly a very wealthy neighborhood. Nobody who lived in a house like that would need to steal $20. So, with all the bravery and my 14-year-old self, I called the number. A lady picks up. Hello? Hello, ma'am. Does a Brad last name live there? She sounds very concerned. Yes, this is his mother speaking. Checkmate. I then proceeded to explain the entire situation to this guy's mom, who sounds absolutely furious at Brad, and also terrified I have their home phone number. Then Brad's father comes in the room, and she puts me on speakerphone so I can explain the whole story to him. He is livid at Brad. He tells me through audibly gritted teeth that he is going to sort it out and to stay on my computer. About 5 minutes later, receive a friend request from Brad and also a trade invitation where he was not only giving me my skin back, but more items, each one worth in excess of $200, and I accepted the trade. I get a call back from the number. It was Brad, faintly crying and apologizing for what he had done, saying that his father was very upset with him. The way he was talking made it clear his dad was in the room. I started to giggle a bit at how insane the situation was. I told him I'd forgive him if he sent me his trade history, which he did in a record pace. I saw the items he had in the trade history, added the guys I assumed he stole them from, asked them if they had been scammed by Brad, and then I surprised all of them by returning the stolen items. Next we've got, don't interrupt me when I'm trying to upsell. So we have a rewards membership. There's a basic version that is free and gives points on purchases, and also a pro version that costs $15 per year that additionally gives a discount on used games, monthly coupons, magazine subscriptions, and some other stuff. The rewards card is part of a tracked metric which we are told to keep above a good number, roughly 15%. So essentially, for every 100 customers you ring up, you should sell about 15 pro rewards cards. I had just served a customer who had already had a pro card, and as he was gathering his things off to the side,
I started to take the next person. He didn't have a pro card, so I started telling him about the benefits. So the pro card would be pretty good for you since you're getting a lot of used games here. It gives a 10% discount on used games. Normally it's $15 for a year, but with the games you're getting, it's essentially only like $5. He was getting around $100 of used games. For a year, I explained. He looked like he was thinking about it. I went to get the games and put them in the case, and then resumed the conversation. So, would you like to sign up? It's a good deal if you come here often, I said. As I'm talking to him, Pro Guy butts in. Hey, if you want, you can use my card to get the discount. Then you don't have to pay anything. He snorted. I was kind of taken aback as I had never had this happen before. There was an established policy that said we are not allowed to have community rewards cards, which is basically just a card that some unscrupulous employee would use to ring up any customer that didn't have a card and didn't want to buy one, to keep their numbers up. This was a big no-no as far as policy goes, but some people still did it for fear of being fired for the numbers being too low. Instead, they got fired for having a community rewards card. Anyway, I quickly reasoned that the policy would apply here. Customers are completely fine to let friends and family use their accounts, but I decided that customers with no connection could not, and this was affirmed by my higher-ups after telling them about this. I calmly say to Pro Guy, "I'm sorry, sir, but he can't use your card." He looks offended. "What? What do you mean? I've let my friends use my account before," he says. I say, "Yeah, friends is okay, but you don't know him, do you?" I turn to the new guy in front and ask, "Do you know him?" referring to Pro Guy. New guy shakes his head. Pro Guy says, "So what if we don't know each other? I'm just trying to save the guy some money." "No, you just want the points from his transaction." New guy says to Pro Guy, "Thanks, buddy, but I'm okay." He turns to me and says, "I think I'll pass on the card today, but thanks for the info." "No problem," I respond. You'd think that would be the end of it, but Pro Guy is not satisfied. "See? He didn't buy it, so you can use my card now." To new guy. "You'll save money." To me. "And you'll keep your numbers up. It's a win-win." Some regulars know about the metrics, not many. I casually say, "Sir, I'm in the middle of a transaction. This gentleman has told you he doesn't want to use your card. Please let us finish the transaction." He does not like this. "I can't believe you're talking to a customer like that. Give me the number for corporate." "I can help you as soon as I'm done with this customer, sir." As I'm finishing up with new guy, my manager comes in from break and goes to the back to put her stuff away. I say to Pro Guy, "She's the manager if you want to talk to her about it." Apparently, he didn't want to talk to her. I'm guessing he did something similar in the past and she told him off. I don't remember if he saw her as she was walking by, but perhaps he didn't. Otherwise, he would have said something. But after telling him that, he seemed to just drop it and left. I'm still curious as to what exactly his argument was going to be. "The associate wouldn't let me stop him from trying to sell a rewards membership." Some people are so silly. Do you have a rewards card at any of the stores you shop at? Please leave me a comment letting me know. Next we've got, Karen thinks she can walk in my house and help herself to my dinner. This story happened many years ago. While we were in the military, we moved frequently, and at one base in particular, we lived in condo-style houses, lines of homes that have one or two walls that are connected to each other. I mention the type of house because it shows how close we were to our neighbors. We did have our own driveways, but they were for single cars and were right next to our neighbors. This base was in a warm location where we should have had air conditioning, but we did not. We were enlisted and lived in older houses, and only newer enlisted or officers had AC. The reason I mention this is because I would leave my front door open and just have the screen door closed so we would get crosswind to cool the house. This should have not been a big deal, right? Wrong. Our neighbor that was connected to our left liked to come over and borrow things. Our neighbor, or choosing beggar, will be referred to as CB moving forward, and would come over, and at the beginning she would knock and she would just ask for things such as a cup of sugar or milk. Then as time progressed, CB would knock and just walk in, and at this point she still asked for stuff. To be honest, this didn't really bother me too bad because it wasn't too frequent, and then all of a sudden it changed and CB stopped knocking altogether and began just walking in. I did say something, keeping it light in hopes that it would work. I knew we were going to be neighbors for a while, and it could be bad to have a bad relationship between neighbors. Back then, I had a lot of anxiety about having negative interactions with people. Then CB became pregnant, and her entitlement all of a sudden knew no bounds. CB would not only walk into my house, She would go into my fridge or freezer and grab whatever she wanted. This one time I was making dinner and she walked over and smelled it, grabbed a plate, and served herself. I said something to the effect of, "I am making that for my husband," and CB responded that she is only taking a little and there will be plenty for him. That was it. I was mad. After that, I tried locking my screen door, but the cheap lock wouldn't hold. CB was able to pull the door open and eventually snap the lock off. I finally said forget it and started shutting my actual door, which wasn't good because it was hot and no AC, but it was better than dealing with her every day. I thought that would work, but she started going through our back door and coming through our screen door. Oh, did I mention her husband was like 3 ranks higher than mine and she was seriously taking from us when they could afford way more? Anyway, this went on while CB was pregnant. Finally, after CB had her baby, CB started asking for even more. She wanted my husband to come over and get the bugs when her husband wasn't home. She asked me to do things she could easily do for herself, like go to the grocery store. The final straw was when she woke me up at 2 a.m. saying so cold and mumbling. I seriously thought something was wrong with her baby. I got up, woke my husband up, let him know, and ran over to her house, and I do mean ran. I ran into her house, door was unlocked, and CB was laying on the couch. She wasn't feeling good. She wanted me to get her a blanket from her upstairs closet. I finally lost it and told her I thought something was wrong with her baby. I was over it. I told her, "CB, you are not to walk into our house without permission, and you are not to ask my husband for anything anymore. The only way it is ever okay to call me in the middle of the night ever again is because you need 911. CB just looked at me and said something about, since I am here, can't I get the blanket, and that I am being a horrible neighbor. I walked out of the house, went home, and went to bed. Moving forward, CB scowled at me every time she saw me and pointed at me and talked about me to her husband and other neighbors who told me later. CB's husband got orders and they finally moved. I was so happy because she made it uncomfortable being at my own home till she left. Karen watches as her brats tear apart my office. I work for an ENT a couple of days a week. My job is to both efficiently and accurately give patients a hearing assessment before they see the doctor. In the audiological field, ENT days are pretty well known to be quite high stress because of the complexity of assessments. The patients we assess are often there because they were referred from private hearing clinics or GPs for red flags or complicated cases, and the speed at which you are expected to assess people. I normally see between 35 to 40 patients per day. One appointment that goes a bit over the allotted time can throw off your entire day. Anyway, yesterday, one of my first morning appointments, a 55 to 60-year-old woman, entitled Grandma, showed up 20 minutes late. When I called her back to my office, she was dragging a kid, entitled Kid, who looked about 3.5. As soon as she let go of his hand, entitled Kid started running around the room, screaming and banging his minion toy on the walls. I asked entitled Grandma if she had brought anyone to watch him while I tested her. Entitled Grandma: "My daughter is in the waiting room." Me: "Okay, can you please take entitled Kid back to her then? It will be easier to do the test alone." "No, he wants to play in here." Me: "I'm sorry, but this is a doctor's office and I need to assess you. He can't be distracting you or I during the test." "Fine, I'll get my daughter." So she goes and gets the daughter, entitled Mom, who brings another kid, a girl who looked about 2, into the room. Entitled Kid 1 is still screaming and running, and entitled Kid 2 joins in immediately. I'm already upset. They were 20 minutes late and having to argue about the kid and then fetching entitled Mom, who was already taking another chunk of my precious time. So I get entitled Grandma into the sound booth, and entitled Kid 1 comes running in. Me: "I'm sorry, buddy, but you can't be in here. You need to go wait with your mom." Entitled Grandma: "No, he can stay. He wants to play in here." "No, I already told you. He can't be distracting you or I during this test. And he's not just, hey, stop! Don't touch those wires." Entitled Kid 1 has started pulling out the wires plugged into the booth, and neither entitled Grandma nor entitled Mom do anything. I pull his hands away and guide him out of the booth, which he protests by screaming and throwing himself onto the floor. I lock eyes with entitled Mom, and she continues to do nothing. Entitled Kid 2 has found the pediatric assessment toys
and has dumped the entire bucket onto the floor. I chose to ignore this for the sake of time. While I am attempting to assess entitled grandma, both brats are causing complete havoc behind me. They're grabbing extremely expensive and high-tech instruments off of my shelves. They're taking hearing aid color chips and trying to rip them apart. They're throwing the pediatric toys all over the room. They're climbing onto my desk chair and knocking over everything in my desk. All the while, entitled mom is sitting there doing absolutely nothing, casually and placidly observing the wreckage. I had to stop testing 4 times to stop the entitled brats from ruining equipment probably worth more than the average car. Entitled grandma could hardly hear my instructions through the microphone because of the screaming. My blood was just about boiling at this point, but it is my job to be professional. Eventually, I finish entitled grandma's assessment and the room is in ruins. Me to entitled mom. Your kids need to clean up what they've done. Entitled mom. Isn't that your job? No. My job is to assess hearing. Your kids made this mess and now they need to clean it up. I need to take the next patient. Entitled mom. They don't want to clean up. Me, struggling to keep my composure. Listen, this is a doctor's office, not a daycare. You and your kids need to clean this up now while I get ready for the next patient. There are toys in the waiting room that they can play with. So entitled mom and the kids do clean up what they've thrown around, but entitled kid 2 is still holding one of the pediatric assessment toys as they try to leave the room. Me. She still has a toy in her hand. I need that back. You have a whole bucket of toys. Can't she keep just one? Me. No. I need them for assessing other kids. She needs to put it back. Entitled kid, can I please have the toy back? Of course, being 2, entitled kid doesn't want to. She hides it behind her back and tries to leave, but I hold the door shut. Entitled mom. You are being selfish. She's only 2 and just wants one toy. Me. Again, this is a doctor's office. The equipment in here is necessary for the work that I do. If you do not give the toy back, I can't imagine the doctor will allow you back to this practice. Entitled mom still doesn't see this as a problem, so I reach down and pry the toy out of her hand. She screams and throws herself onto the floor. I open the door to let them out. Me. Have a nice day. Entitled mom. Death glare. If you had kids, would you let them play with toys in the doctor's waiting room? Please leave me a comment right now letting me know. Next we've got 2 ladies scream at each other across the checkout lines. Several years ago, when I worked in retail, this incident is what stands out and is by far the craziest story from my retail experience. The 2 most important characters of this story. We've got Mom Lady, a woman who came in and almost always had 5 boys with her. While one kid was in the cart, the others would run around and yell and be underfoot. Kinda makes you reconsider having kids. Deputy woman, lady in her 40s to 50s and is a deputy in the police department, or so she claimed. This happened in the middle of a Sunday rush, and there are 5 cashiers open. All of us are busy. My designated role was bagger on that fateful day, so I'm doing my stuff for the cashier when deputy woman comes through our line. 2 rows over, Mom Lady and her 4 kids come through. The kids start running around, yelling, and rolling across the floor. Our store manager at that time was a tower of a man, who I'm pretty sure reached 7 feet or so, was trying to not step on a rolling kid. Rolling kid was at the exit between 2 checkout lanes, so that made stepping around him difficult. Store manager needed to be moving, but his progress was hindered by the kid constantly rolling where he needed to put his foot down. Finally, the store manager was able to walk around the kid and just do what needed to be done for the cashiers and customers. All the while, the other kids are just adding to the chaos. This is paraphrased, but is the gist. Deputy woman loudly demands, "Whose kids are those?" Mom Lady, "They're mine." Deputy woman, "You need to discipline your kids." Mom Lady, "How I raise my kids is none of your business." Deputy woman, "You can't even get your kids to behave. You deserve to have them taken away. I am a deputy in the police department, and I will report you. Someone give me her number so I can report her." Nobody gave deputy woman Mom Lady's number. Mom Lady, "Forget you, jerk." Deputy woman, "Forget you."
I will report you. I'm a deputy in the police department. This round of yelling lasted a bit longer with the forget you and calling each other names. Deputy woman continued repeating that she was a deputy and that she would report mom lady. All the while, us workers are keeping our heads down and doing our jobs with a particularly intense focus. It was so bad, I thought we were going to have to call the police to break up a fight. After spitting a few more insults at each other, mom lady and deputy went their separate ways at opposite ends of the store. I was honestly half expecting someone to run in from outside and yell that there were two ladies having a smackdown in the parking lot. The rush ended at this time as well, and all of us were laughing awkwardly and were beet red. Another cashier came up and said that her customer asked if the ladies were going to fight. I didn't see mom lady again for about 6 months, and when I saw her again, she always only had 1 or 2 kids with her, 1 kid in the cart and the other free. Deputy lady was never seen again. Do you think the deputy was telling the truth or just making it up? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got, scam me for $80 for cleaning on move out? I don't think so, Jack. About 10 years ago, my landlord passed, or at least the person who owned the place we were renting. The property managers had been delightful, but whoever inherited wanted to sell, so the house was for sale. Enter Jerk, we'll call him Jack, who decides to buy the place. Now ours was the top floor, attic converted into a suite, of a house less than 35 square meters, 375 square feet. The bathroom was literally where the stairs up to the top floor used to be. The place was tiny. Jack came to check out the place, as you should before buying a place. He had one of those Bluetooth earpieces in, and I can't even remember if he even acknowledged us. He spent about 30 to 45 seconds in our suite. Next time we hear from him is about a month later. Apparently, he had bought the place. He stops by to give us a notice of rent increase, effective in 6 months, legal minimum, from $485 to $795. The place is not worth that much. We say what the heck and decide to buy a house, since it's not much more per month. Surprise to anyone who's never bought a house, it was more than just mortgage payments. We give him all the required notice to move out. We move and clean the place up really well. Mind you, when my partner moved in, it was not especially clean, and we happen to have the move-in inspection which mentions this. Jack decides to try to scam us for $80 of our damage deposit for cleaning. He doesn't provide the required forms, just says, "I'm going to hold $80 from your damage deposit for cleaning." We respond with, no you're not. Jack, assuming we need the cash for our next damage deposit or bills, and we'll settle for anything. "Take this, or I'm going to keep your whole deposit." Cue revenge. So he decides to just keep the whole deposit, $485. I filed paperwork with the rentals men, who unsurprisingly, after the investigation, rule in my favor. He's ordered to refund the whole deposit, but Jack decides not to pay, and the rentals man doesn't have any enforcement powers. So I have to go to the local sheriff's office. They can send a legal demand letter for the deposit plus costs, but it will cost me $100 to $150. I forget. Up front. Sure, go ahead. Jack decides to ignore the sheriff's kindly letter. Sheriffs say that they can start proceeding to recover the debt plus costs, but I again have to pay up front, about $250, and it might take a while. I guess most people quit at this point, being out of pocket $700, throwing more money at the problem, and maybe having to wait months didn't appeal to them. And there's also a chance you never collect. I chose to pay the sheriffs. They sent another, less friendly letter to Jack, but here's the best part. Now that they're recovering a debt, they're going to recover on all of the outstanding judgments against him, and apparently he has tried this crap before. They sent him another couple letters. Pay up or else. Jack chose else. Then they seized title to Jack's giant white SUV. I can't remember what it was, but not a cheap one. They didn't physically take it away or anything, but they gave him 30 days to pay all the judgments against him, or they would take it and sell it at auction. Somehow, he all of a sudden found the money. My share, $485, plus $150, plus $250, for a total of $885. The other people who had registered judgments, but not paid to start the collections processes, were about $5,000 more. I can't remember how long the whole process took. At least 6 months though. Landlord tried to scam us for $80 for cleaning when we moved out. Ended up costing him almost $6,000. Next we've got Karen demands items we just don't sell. Hey everybody! This little story is about 3 to 4 years old, so conversations won't be word for word anymore, but I'll do my best to describe everything as it was. I worked a seasonal cashier/stocking job at one of the many cheap dollar-type stores here in the US. This was my first actual job, but I had been doing quite well despite my really bad anxiety. This took place a few days before Thanksgiving. Fresh off of my usual 15-minute break for the day, I walked out of the back room and made my way to clock back in to finish my shift. I stop when I hear an older lady, who I will refer to as customer, trying to get my attention. I let her know that I need to clock in as I just got off my break, but I will be glad to help her in just a moment. Knowing my management, I would have gotten in trouble if helping her before clocking in, as they are very precise and picky about times. I clock in and make my way back to where customer had been, but I don't see her anywhere. I look around the nearby aisles to no avail, so I head back to my register as my coworker needs to go back to stocking shelves. All seemed fine and things were going smoothly until customer suddenly enters my line. I give my usual customer service smile and I start to ring up her items. Me: hello, did you find everything all right today? Customer didn't hesitate to immediately start barking at me. Customer: no, it's bad enough you clearly don't know how to do your job. You just left me there. You're supposed to be about customer service. Who trained you? Why can't you do your job? Me: I'm really sorry, ma'am. I had to clock in before helping a customer on the sales floor. It's just part of our policy. I should note, I was actually starting to choke up here. I probably got a bit red in the face too. With my anxiety, I easily crumble under confrontations like this. Customer almost looked as if she was even standing taller, as if she thought her putting me down was a good thing. Well, they need to retrain you. I came here looking for black serving plates for my Thanksgiving dinner. You have none. Is that the only place for party plates? She vaguely motions towards the back of the store. Me: yes, ma'am, and we just don't carry any black serving plates. I'm sorry. I could double check with my manager in case I'm wrong if you'd like. Customer tapped her card against the counter as I finished ringing up her items, giving me this death glare. No. My Thanksgiving theme will just have to be ruined. I get the last of her items bagged, watching the register screen as I do my part of customers' card transactions, just trying to keep myself together while apologizing again, but she wasn't done yet. I glance to my line, and the two people who had now gathered behind her are having none of her attitude, but they say nothing. Customer's face starts getting red, and she even crosses her arms in a huff. Another thing, do you have any large party gift bags for adults? Me: I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. You have gift bags themed for kids. Why not adults? Where can I find some? Me: I'm sorry, ma'am. I've never seen any bags like you're describing, and we only carry what we currently have back there. Well, you should tell your managers. There's absolutely no reason why you can't have any decorated bags like this. Me: I can call my manager down if you'd like to tell them. No, you need to do it. Call them. As I hand customer her receipt, I give in and call my manager over the intercom. A coworker ends up coming down and tells me my manager is in a conference call in her office, so she's unavailable. I tell customer that I'll make note of her suggestion, and she storms off with her full cart in a huff. Thankfully, my next two customers were amazing. They had heard a majority of what customer was saying and how she was treating me, and noticed that I was getting worked up with my anxiety. They talked me down and told me I handled the situation really well, and we had a laugh about it before they left. Those two customers really made my day. Next we've got Never Judge a Book. I just joined the Reddit family and this is my first post. I'm old, like in my 70s old, but my wife said that some of my stories might be entertaining. This is something I witnessed about 10 years ago. We've got Old Lady and we've got Big Bully. I was shopping at a store with a big bullseye logo. I noticed this old lady looked to be in her late 60s who was just going about her business. I noticed because she held herself very upright and with a lot of confidence, though she was only about 5 feet tall and 100 pounds if she was an ounce. She had on a nice red blouse and tan pants, which turned out to be a bad fashion choice for this store, as you will soon see. As I passed by, we nodded to each other, and I started making my way to the luggage and bags to look for a new backpack for myself. After about a couple minutes of looking, I heard raised voices and glanced over my shoulder to see the old woman in a heated exchange with a middle-aged man. Big bully, twice her size. He was talking very loud and calling her awful names and telling her that just because she was old didn't mean she could ignore customers. She was, I imagine, trying to explain that she didn't work there but couldn't get a word in edgewise since the big bully was refusing to let her talk. I started to walk over there to see if I could help, but soon saw that my help was not needed. Bully actually had the gall to grab her by her shoulder and give her a shake. I will never forget what happened next. Old lady busted out some sort of martial arts move and kicked his knee, sending him falling to the ground. By then, I was close enough that I heard her softly tell him, "Look, I said I don't work here, and I will not hesitate to end you. Now, do you understand?" I asked if you understand. He nodded his head and she said, "Now, are you going to be a good boy and leave me alone?" He nodded again and she released him. He knelt there on the floor for a minute, rubbing his knee and looking like any full-grown man would if they just had their butt handed to them by a little old lady, contrite and embarrassed. She simply walked away and continued shopping. He finally got up and speed-walked out of the store. I caught up to her and asked her if she was all right, as if. She smiled sweetly and said, "I can't stand bullies." We talked for a minute, and she told me that she took self-defense classes at a nearby senior center, and she learned to take care of herself a long time ago and refuses to be bullied. Like the title says, you can't judge a book by its cover, so don't mess with harmless-looking little old ladies. They might just kick your butt. Karen tries to expel me. I recently graduated high school, so I obviously still look like a high schooler. I went to visit my old high school as I was picking up my sister who was shadowing there. This was a private, Catholic, all-girls school with no more than 400 students. Being as it was a small school, and I being a recent graduate, most staff and students knew me. First thing you do to enter the school is you need to get a badge from the front desk. It clearly said alumni. I put it on my shirt. I pulled my phone out and plugged my headphones in and headed to my old advisor's classroom. It was still early to pick up my sister and got permission to meet up with my old advisor. Since it was a bit of a walk, I was wearing wedges, jeans, and a blouse because I just came from a presentation at my university. I plugged my earbuds in and examined the hallways. All of a sudden, someone rips my earbuds out of my ear. Crazy teacher. "Why are you not in uniform? It is not 150 yet." It was a rule that you couldn't be out of uniform until after 150 if you were a senior, since it was a senior privilege. "Also, you know the rules. 1 earbud." She waves my earbuds in my face. Me. "I'm sorry, miss, but I am..." She cuts me off. "Also, ripped jeans and hooped earrings? That is a dress code violation." I try to speak. "Come with me to the dean." Everyone was in an assembly in the other building, so no one but some teachers were in the main building. This lady takes me to the dean's office. I knew the dean well. She was my coach's mom and my other coach's wife. Crazy teacher pushes me to the chair outside of the office, knocks on the door, and tells the dean she has a student who is breaking several handbook rules. The dean says she is finishing up an email and says she will be out in a few. The crazy teacher looks back at me as I again tried to explain to her I am not a student. I point to my now messed up badge. She ignores me and I give up and pull my phone out. I am very annoyed at this point and just wanted to upset her because I was doing nothing wrong. She sits on the other chair across the hall and sees me take my phone out. The moment she does, she tried to pull it out of my hand and tells me I should not be on my phone during school hours. I go, "Ma'am, I am not a student here. I go to insert university here. I am here for my sister." She rolls her eyes. "Being accepted to a college does not mean you are there yet.
You are still under our rules, she says. After a few minutes, the dean walks out, doesn't see me at first, and looks at crazy teacher and goes, "Who is it?" The crazy teacher points at me and sees me giving her the "Lord help me, because I cannot be held responsible if this lady yells at me again." She asks me to come inside her office without crazy teacher. Dean: "Ah, OP, great to see you. How's college?" Me: "Great. My sister is shadowing today, and I got out early, so I came down to hopefully say hi to my old teachers." Dean: "That's good. I saw your sister's name on this morning. Wonderful girl." At this point, she calls crazy teacher in. Dean: "Crazy teacher, what was the problem with Miss OP?" Crazy teacher: "She was on her phone and had 2 earbuds in, wandering the hallways. Also, she is in several violations of dress code. She needs to be punished. I asked her several times to put her phone away. She also talked back to me and lied about her status here." I sigh. I look at the dean. I laugh. Crazy teacher: "This is no laughing matter." Dean: "I'm sorry for crazy teacher's behavior. She is new here. This is OP. She's an alumni of 2019. Her sister is shadowing today. I cannot punish her for anything. She has her name tag saying she is an alumni visitor." Points to the name tag. Me: "Thank you, Dean. Crazy teacher, I am sorry for the confusion, and I did not mean to cause trouble." Dean asks crazy teacher to return to work, and she will be talked to later. The dean asked me if I want to report her. I was like, "No thank you, it was a misunderstanding. An unnecessary one, but still a mistake." Dean nods, hugs me, and I was off to see my other teachers. I finished visiting the teachers that were there and walked past the office of crazy teacher, who sat there and gave me glares. I smiled. I went back to the front desk and waited for my sister. Nothing happened to crazy teacher, but I heard she got a good lecture about the way to approach students or visitors. Am I the jerk for not babysitting my sister's kids anymore? I, 27 male, accidentally made some good financial decisions years ago that have put me in a position today where I can do mostly what I love. Messing around with all kinds of electronics, playing video games a lot. I'm a huge nerd. I own a small electronics/computer shop where I fix customers' devices, etc. I also sell general computer stuff and other small electronics. I live in the same building. I don't spend all of my time in the shop. I have 2 workers who work in shifts, and I work when I feel like it or when they ask for help. I also replace them when they need a vacation or sick days. I have a sister, Jane, who's 34, and she has 3 kids, Mary, 14, Julia, 6, and Jack, who's 4. And as I'm the only one with basically unlimited free time to watch the kids, Mary doesn't need to be watched anymore, but she often hangs out in my shop either way. I do it every time the kids are sick or my sister is on a business trip for work. And after lockdown, kids are sent home for every tiny cough and sneeze. Now on to what happened. My grandmother had her 80-year birthday and everyone was invited. Relatives I don't remember ever seeing before. My sister and I were sitting close to each other, and suddenly the old lady, who was maybe my grandmother's cousin or something, started to ask everyone what they do. And I told her that I run a small business, and my sister out of nowhere says, "Yeah, by running a business, he means he's being very lazy and sleeping in until noon. Sometimes chills out in the store and plays video games or watches movies all day, while some of us have to work hard for success." Which is all technically true. While she studied her whole life, I went to trade school and got lucky with a few business decisions. But I felt kind of hurt that she forgot that for her to get all that education, others had to watch the kids. So I said, "Oh, don't forget that I'm also a full-time free babysitter," but I decided to quit and focus on being lazy. She didn't say anything more. Didn't take me seriously either, as a week later I got a phone call in the morning that Jack had thrown up the night before, and she would bring him to my place, and I said, "Did you forget that I quit because I'm too lazy to watch the kids?" And I ended the call. I went back to bed. When I woke up later, there were multiple messages from my sister telling me that I'm a selfish jerk, and I act like I'm the center of the world. I replied politely, "Sorry you feel that way." Later, my mother called me and told me that I put my sister in a really tough position, as she, my mom, can't take days off from the hospital in such short notice either, and Jane has nobody to watch the kids. Am I the jerk if I don't watch them anymore? I'm not hurt because of the truth. I know I'm lazy.
It hurt that she acts like watching her kids has been nothing. Not the jerk. Your sister ruined a very good situation she had by talking to you like this in front of everyone for no good reason. Now she has to deal with the consequences of her own actions. The core issue here is the utter lack of respect. Don't back down, or she will see that she can get away with anything. She will lose all respect for you and be more contemptuous of you than ever. Giving in would not result in you being more appreciated. It's sad, but that's the way it is. Am I the jerk for telling my ex-husband, outside of our kids, I don't care about his life and I don't owe his fiancée anything? I'm 36, female. My ex-husband, Tom, 35, male, left me for his work wife, Tammy, 25, female, 2 years ago. I never liked her, even before I found out about their relationship. The first time I met her at a work event, while I was heavily pregnant with my youngest, better up your wife game or I might steal him off you. Well, 3 months later she did. This woman literally came with him to help pack the day he moved out and tried to have a one-on-one conversation on how she wanted our relationship going forward because she was going to be in my life. Then said as a joke, "Told you I'd steal him away." Not gonna lie, I'm thankful she did, because when my ex made a comment about her being 23 and her brain not being fully developed, I got the ick so bad it turned my heartbreak into relief. I got everything in the divorce because I got him in his affair fog and gave 50-50 custody for our kids' sake. I'm civil for the sake of my kids, so we can both attend events without drama, but other than that, I couldn't honestly care less about them. Around June, Tammy came instead of Tom to pick them up and practically skipped towards me to show off her new engagement ring, saying she wanted me as a bridesmaid along with my daughters for something I didn't catch because I was in a rush to get our cat to the vet. She got upset because I just said, her whole conversation per Tom text a few hours later. Same thing happened again in September when she told me she was pregnant, which again, I didn't care about. In December when she told me the second I opened the car door, "Tom's finally getting a son," to which I sarcastically replied, "I'm sure Lord Tom's excited for an heir to take over his lands and titles," which caused drama too because Tom's family found it hilarious when Tammy was bad-mouthing me. December was the last time I saw her until today at drop-offs with Tom. As they approached me, I noticed Tammy didn't look pregnant anymore. Tammy tearfully said, "We lost the baby." I didn't answer, just told Tom our second daughter has a birthday party tomorrow at 3 and the oldest has gymnastics at 5. Tammy literally screamed at me that I was a heartless jerk and bitter, then grabbed the girl's bag walking away. Tom said I could show a little humanity towards Tammy, and regardless of my feelings, she's still my kid's stepmother. I told Tom I don't care what he has going on, because outside of our kids, I don't care about them, and I don't owe Tammy anything, especially pity. He called me a jerk, along with other things, and left. Usually this wouldn't bother me, but my ex-in-laws, who I have a good relationship with, have told me that I should have shown Tammy some empathy, and at the very least, pretended to care for the sake of the kids. Not the jerk. You don't have to do a thing for her. It's about co-parenting with your ex. It's weird to me that she's sharing personal details about her life. She must not have friends or something, but that isn't your issue. If you would have said something, she would have twisted it into you being evil. She's nuts, and her brain isn't fully developed, as Tom pointed out 2 years ago. Not the jerk. Forget her and him. Am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law, "Pack your stuff and get out of my home"? Me, 23 female, and my husband, 22 male, got married a year and a half ago. Before we got married, I met his sister, who's 30, only twice, despite the fact that my now husband lived with her. She seemed friendly and like every other person. My husband never really talked about her though. When we got married, I moved in with my husband, his sister, and his mother temporarily. Before I moved in, my husband low-key warned me about his sister and that they fight a lot. I didn't really care because I know siblings are going to be siblings, but Lord, did I underestimate the situation. My sister-in-law is the worst person I've ever met in my entire life. She's a notorious liar. She's addicted to arguing and has the mental and physical abilities of a 10-year-old. When we all lived together initially, she argued with my mother-in-law and husband only. She annoyed the heck out of me, but I never gave in to her provocations, so we never fought. Still, it was very boresome to live with her when all she does is start fights in our home. I'm also a stay-at-home wife while everyone else works, and she makes my housework 100 times harder because she's so dang dirty. Eventually, my husband and I started looking for a new place to move in together, and his mom looked for her own place as well. We all kept telling my sister-in-law that she needs to start looking for her own apartment too, because we will all eventually move out and the house we lived in is way too big and expensive for just her. She never even tried to look for a place and assumed we wouldn't find one ourselves. Well, 3 months ago, my mother-in-law moved out. 2 months ago, my husband and I moved out. We were forced to take my sister-in-law with us because she obviously didn't have a place of her own to stay. Initially, the deal was that she will live with us temporarily until she finds her own place, but she, again, never started looking for one. Eventually, she said she's going to move in with her boyfriend this June, so it doesn't make sense for her to move to her own place, just to move into her boyfriend's a month or two later. We thought that was reasonable, and that if we made it this far, we can endure a few more months with her. Well, most recent huge drama event had me in tears for 2 days, and even though it's been like 3 weeks, I still haven't gotten over it yet. Firstly, I want to mention that I'm pregnant, so all this happened while I'm pregnant and I feel like crap anyway. Basically, she was on FaceTime with her stepsister, who's about 10, while I was in my room doing something important. She knocked on my door, but I couldn't open it at that time. A few minutes later, I rushed out and asked what she wanted. She was no longer on the phone. She said, "Oh, I just wanted to show you how happy stepsister is about the bracelet you gifted her." Me being confused, because I never gifted the kid any bracelet. I asked, "What bracelet are you talking about?" To which my sister-in-law replied, Yeah, it's fine. I know it's the bracelet I gave you." My sister-in-law gave me a bracelet once, and I still have it. So I showed her the bracelet and explained that I never gave it away, and I never even gave any bracelet, or in fact, any gift at all to her stepsister. She said that she gave me 2 bracelets, and I gave one of them to her stepsister, and that if I don't like her gifts, I should just tell her so she would stop gifting me things. I again explained that it's not true, but she kept dismissing me and kept interrupting me. Eventually, I swore that it was not true, but she still wouldn't believe me. I noticed she was starting a fight, so I said, "You know what? Whatever." I said I need to go back into my room to continue my class. When I went into my room, it was 2:27 p.m. Class started at 2:30, so I went on WhatsApp in the meantime. She saw that I was online and texted me stuff like, "So, you're lying again. You said you need to start your class, but now you're online on WhatsApp. Instead of solving the misunderstanding, you lie and go to your room to avoid me." She kept messaging nonsense nonstop for like 30 minutes until I decided to call my husband. I explained everything to him and how she won't leave me alone now. He called her and calmly asked what was going on, and then she completely freaked out. She started yelling into the phone so loudly and said that I was disrespectful, that she only asked me about the bracelet, and I immediately started yelling at her. My husband, knowing how patient I am and knowing I've never yelled at anyone before, didn't believe her. Also because, as mentioned, she's a notorious liar. She yelled about how he forgot his family, only cares about his wife, and doesn't see how disrespectful I am. She came knocking on my door, yelling, "Open the door!" And when I did, she put my husband on speaker and said to me, tell him that you yelled at me." I kept starting to speak, and she kept interrupting me by yelling, Tell him! This went on for about 7 to 8 times of her interrupting me every time I tried to say just one word until I snapped. I was shaking like I never have before and had cramps in my stomach. I then really yelled, "I wouldn't have to yell if you stopped interrupting me." The look on her face completely changed. Suddenly, she looked happy and satisfied and walked away, saying to my husband, "See? This is how she yelled before too." Which made me even angrier, and I yelled again that she's a liar and I don't want her in my home anymore, and that she should pack her bags and get out of here. I felt like I had crossed a line. I never did something like that before, but it was like I blacked out and I was nervous about what my husband was thinking. But thankfully, he was completely on my side and understood my outburst. I felt so bad that I told my mother-in-law about it. I was crying on the phone, and she said that it's normal that eventually I would snap because of her bad behavior. All of this happened 3 weeks ago. She acts like nothing happened, but I keep avoiding her, and I've blocked her everywhere because I don't want to get her annoying messages. Now my husband is saying that it's childish of me to have blocked her and that I should just unblock her since we live together anyway. By the way, guys, she's so crazy that she sends me emails now that I have her blocked everywhere else. And one time, she called me through a coworker's phone anonymously. She cannot leave me alone. He should throw her out of your home. If you can, I would temporarily stay with family or friends and tell husband you'll be back once sister-in-law moves out. Maybe that will provide him with some motivation to kick her to the curb. I think she's lying about moving in with her boyfriend, and your baby does not need to be around someone like her. Arguing with you until you're in tears and pain from her nonstop verbal assault is completely over the top and needs to be stopped immediately. Not the jerk. You were forced to take her in because she didn't have a place of her own? Nope. You weren't forced to take her in. You chose to. And now you can as freely choose to kick her out. She can go with her mom, or with her boyfriend, or to a homeless shelter. Not your problem. I broke up with my girlfriend because she wanted to stay in touch with a Tinder match. Am I wrong? So I, 29 male, matched with my now ex-girlfriend, 25 female, on Tinder in November. We chatted for about a week before going on a date, and we just hit it off really well. After a few dates, she got a message from another guy she had chatted with for a few weeks. They were supposed to go on a date, but that fell through because she got sick and wasn't feeling well enough to go on a date. They didn't talk for 3 weeks or so when her and I matched. She told him that she started seeing someone else, me, that it was no hard feelings, but she was looking to pursue things with me. At this moment in time, we've had the talk and agreed that we were exclusive together. And he got really angry, like full-on rage angry, calling her names, being flat out horrible, which really got to her, and in a sense, that strengthened our relationship as well. I was able to help her through the situation. So fast forward to 2 days ago, when she receives a random message from this guy. It was an apology, but in my opinion, the kind of apology you give to someone to feel better about what you did, as opposed to actually being sorry. I can't know for sure, but that's just my gut feeling. She tells me about their message right away and asks me how she should reply. I basically told her, don't reply at all, considering what he had said and done months prior, and she was going to sit on it for a while before doing anything. Later that night, she tells me that she had a talk with him, and it boiled down to him asking if she wanted to stay in touch, because for the first few weeks that they did talk, it was all good. But she did say that she had asked me first. I'm going to be honest, guys, I was not comfortable with this at all. I have some major trust and abandonment issues, and I told her that I thought it was uncomfortable for me, but I'd try my absolute best to not think anything of it. But it kept eating at me. I just had this big pit in my stomach. I couldn't really sleep. I kept opening WhatsApp Messenger to see when she was last online, etc. It just really messed with my head. So yesterday night, we had a long conversation about it, and she said that she's not going to let her boyfriend dictate who she can and cannot talk to. I tried telling her that if it was any other guy, I'd be okay with it. The reason it felt so off was because they met on Tinder, and they were supposed to go on a date together. In her eyes, this was irrelevant. She doesn't know many people from around here because she moved here about a year ago, and I should just allow her to make some friends. I was being selfish for trying to deprive her of having this connection with somebody. He knew her slightly better than her colleagues at work, and so she could be more vulnerable in a conversation compared to a conversation with her colleagues. So I said, fair enough. If you want to maintain things with that guy, I'm out. I broke up with her, blocked her on everything. Am I wrong for doing this? She's not going to let her boyfriend dictate who she can talk to? She's using that as an excuse so she can keep her options open and look around for something better. You did the right thing. I think you made the right call. Sure, of course you should never be controlling of a partner and who they choose to be friends with. But the fact that they met on Tinder and he blew up after being rejected is a huge red flag. When I was dating someone, I was in a similar situation, genuinely thinking some guy I used to date was still my friend, but eventually the friendship petered out. The only time they would reach out was to see if I was still dating so-and-so. This dude sounds like a similar kind of vulture. The situation really sucks, but I think you'll be better off. Am I the jerk for telling her that I would hook up with her if she wanted to? I've been friends with this girl who recently went through a breakup. We used to be very close, but less so recently since we haven't seen each other in a minute. She's a very beautiful girl. People just assume she's a model even though she works as a dental nurse. I met her at a house party recently and we were just catching up, having a chat. It had been a while since we had caught up. She tells me how disappointed she is that all her guy friends hit on her afterwards. When she was in that relationship, she thought she had genuine platonic guy friends, and then once she was single, they all swarmed at her out of the woodworks and started shooting their shot. I said, yeah, that's bound to happen. You're very pretty and have chemistry with everyone. That's the only requirement for hooking up. The fact that you're beautiful is enough for 99% of men, Forget any chemistry. I mean, you've proved my point. The second you became single, all your guy friends wanted you. Not one of them said, well, actually, I wouldn't want to spoil this amazing friendship. Let me just never try my luck with this beautiful woman. She was feeling a bit sad, and I just said, hey, don't worry about it. At least you can be certain of the fact that your female friends aren't trying to hit on you. She giggled at it and then asked me point blank if I would hook up with her. She's a very shy and passive person, so this caught me very off guard. I said, yeah. I mean, I think you're beautiful. I'm not going to say no. Would I actively pursue you? Probably not. But if you wanted to hook up, I'd most likely be on board. She asked me if I cared at all about our friendship, and I just said that wanting to hook up doesn't mean I don't care about being friends. It just means that we're both adults and we make decisions together. That's it. It's not deep. She said no. You know for a fact it would ruin our friendship. You just don't care. She started going off on me. Am I the jerk? Maybe I should have been less honest. Edit. She called me and apologized for yelling at me. She actually thanked me for being honest about the whole situation. She asked me to go get a drink, saying she'll buy the first few rounds as a way of saying sorry. To every single one of you who said I'm the jerk for being honest and straightforward, you suck. I'm not like those other guys. Proceeds to be like the other guys. You just kind of proved her point to her that you're like all the other guys though. You'd throw the friendship away just to hook up with her. She's looking for a true platonic friend and can't find one. It must be frustrating for her that every man around her just wants to hook up. Am I the jerk for telling my friend I won't hang out with her anymore if her family keeps tagging along? Me, 28 female, and my friend Danielle, 28 female, have been friends for 10 years. We met in college on the first day of class and we hit it off right away. She's always been really close with her family, and I always thought that was so sweet since I'm not very close to mine. After graduation, she moved back in with her parents, and I moved into a house with roommates. A year later, I got a job and moved to the other side of the country for 4 years. Danielle and I would text every day and FaceTime at least once a week just to keep up with each other. I visited every year around Christmas time, and she visited me a few times too. I moved back to my hometown in January of 2022, and I got to see all the little details that Danielle had forgot to mention. Not only does Danielle have a full-time job with a salary, she still lives at home with her parents who don't charge her for rent, phone, or any other bills. Her mom packs her lunches and dinners, does her laundry, cleans her room, and even though Danielle's had her license since she was 16, her parents drive her everywhere, even to work. Her parents have a lot of power over her. Last year, our friend group planned a day trip to Seattle, but she forgot to tell her parents. Her mom yelled at her and told us she wasn't allowed to go. Mind you, this was last year. We're 27. We went on a girls' trip last summer, a week long, and Danielle told us the day we were leaving that her parents were coming too, but in their own car. We were all shocked because any normal person would have convinced them not to come. Suddenly, the trip didn't seem as exciting. The destination was 6 hours away, and she had passed on our whole itinerary to them, so they would be eating and going to the same places we were. When we brought this up with her, she didn't see the problem with it and said that her parents could go wherever they wanted since it's a free country. Every time thereafter, her parents would show up to our hangouts. We'd go to the beach for a picnic. I'd see her parents walking along the shore. We'd go to a movie, and her parents would be 5 rows behind us. Since last summer, I've realized that we're just really different. I'm a lot more independent, and as much as I would love to have my lunches packed for me, not have to pay rent or bills, and have someone do my laundry, I also really value having the freedom to drive myself to work and not having to ask permission to go somewhere, much less having my parents tag along on outings. It's clear that our 20s have been experienced very differently. The most recent situation happened a couple of weeks ago when our friend group wanted to go on a Christmas trip to Leavenworth, a Bavarian Christmas town. Our mutual friend joked that maybe Danielle's parents will come too. Her response? Yeah, they looked up the place and thought it was cute, so they're thinking of coming too. Everyone just stared at her. I took her aside and we had a conversation about spending time away from her parents. They are free to do whatever they want, but maybe they could also do things at different times than we do. I also told her that I didn't feel like hanging out with her sometimes because it felt like a package deal. She was furious and yelled at me. She told me I was a jerk and that family was really important to her, and I'm just jealous because I don't have a family. Ouch. Our friend group decided to cancel the trip, and even though I was really looking forward to it, a few of us voiced that we didn't want our first time there to be with Danielle's parents who invited themselves. It's been 2 weeks since she's texted me back, and the longest time we've gone without contact. So, what do you think? Am I the jerk? Update. After a month and a half of no contact, I decided to move on from my friendship with Danielle. She hasn't reached out, and I think she might have blocked my number. My therapist once said, "You can give yourself closure whenever you want." And as sad as it is, I can't keep doing this. We've had some really good times, but if she doesn't want to resolve this, then I guess that's it. I'm giving myself time to mourn the loss of our 10-year friendship, and I hope she gets out of whatever's happening with her family. I have no doubt that her parents are really supportive of her decision to cut me out. They're her friends now. On another note, my friends and I ended up going to Leavenworth last week, and we had a really great time. I, 28 female, walked in on my fiance, 34 male, kissing his coworker, who's 30 female. So we all work together in a hospital, unfortunately. They're paramedics and have worked together since longer than I've been at the hospital. I knew my fiance, Ian, when I was still in medical school about 6 years ago, but he moved, so our relationship ended. I ended up joining the residency program at the same hospital where Ian was working, and we ended up reconnecting after 2.5 years, and we're getting married. We're actually planning to elope, as we're not the type to want a massive fuss. His colleague, female 30, Sam, and him had a fling of some sort about 9 months before I returned, but it had finished before I returned. So I decided to drop lunch off for him before I started my shift yesterday, as they've been slammed working as we all have. I'm stopped by his manager as I walk in. I talk to her, wish her a good shift, and give her an energy bar as she points me in the direction of my soon-to-be husband. However, when I see him, his lips are locked with Sam's. I left. He ran after me, tried to tell me that he didn't kiss her back. She shocked him. He loves me and can't wait to marry me. I really want to believe him, but I also have respect for myself, and I won't let them make me look stupid. I stayed with my friend last night. Do I trust his word or not? Edit. I've asked her for an explanation, and I'm going back home. He's being very honest and has requested CCTV footage for me to see. Admittedly, I've been insecure over Sam before. She doesn't particularly like me, but he did look very rigid when the kiss happened. I'll update later. So I went home last night and talked to him. He was very open and let me check his phone, laptop, etc. Even showed his GPS history. I did feel a bit overbearing. Sam texted me back. She apologized and admitted it was her 100%. She said she had tried to get back to their old flirting ways, but Ian wasn't reciprocating. She said she was jealous of me because the relationship we have is so different from whatever they had, which was mainly physical, and that she was fed up with hearing about his beautiful, smart, long-lost love fiancé, and how lucky he felt that we were able to reconnect. She said that as I had mentioned in the comments, she saw and heard me coming and decided to try to make Ian look bad. She said that when their manager sees the footage, it'll back up her account of what happened. She said she's sorry and that her actions were pathetic and that she had asked to be reassigned to another paramedic to partner with, and that she'd leave us alone but has only asked for Ian not to report her as she would lose her career. He said that it's my choice. If I want him to report her, he will. But I'm leaning towards just leaving it be. As long as she keeps her distance, I don't want her losing her career. I'm just happy to know that me not immediately jumping to the worst conclusion with Ian was the right choice. Ask their colleagues. I bet if there has been anything, they will tell you. Maybe postpone the wedding, meet him and take his phone. If he's happy enough that you're giving him a chance, he maybe is stupid enough not to delete anything. If he doesn't allow you to take a look at it, then you have your answer. You're a doctor. Your ex-fiancé was caught cheating on you. If you didn't walk in on him, do you think he would have run to you and told you, "Oh my goodness, Sam kissed me and I had to push her away"? No. You are too young and too successful and too smart to stay with someone who's kissing other women at work. Don't settle. Sincerely, a nurse who has seen plenty of paramedics, cops, and EMTs cheating with their coworkers. Daughter refuses to go to school, so I changed the Wi-Fi password. My 17-year-old daughter, Kim, is going through a hard time with her mental health. It's gotten to a point where Kim refuses to go to school almost every single day. In January, she went to school 4 days total. We've been working with the school to allow Kim to get homework digitally, but she doesn't keep up with it. My wife and I have gotten her into therapy as well as counseling through her school last fall. But results of that have been mixed, as I don't think Kim is putting in the necessary work on her end. She is on medication, but we're still working with her doctor to find the right combination to meet her needs. If Kim had her way, she'd just spend all day in her bed with her laptop. She doesn't do anything to help around the house, doesn't work, doesn't go to school, doesn't eat meals with the family, just sits in her room on her computer all day and all night. We've tried so many different things, and nothing has seemed to make any positive change. It's infuriating and heartbreaking at the same time. One constant throughout all of this has been her computer and phone. She's on them constantly. No matter how many times we bring this up to her that maybe she needs to spend less time in front of a screen, she insists that isn't the cause of her problems. So finally, I decided to start changing our Wi-Fi password to one that only my wife and I know. I change it every night before we go to sleep, and I don't change it back to the one the kids know until after we get home from work. Kim was not happy about this and used up all of our family plan data in less than a week. We had to change our plan to restrict her usage. At first, my wife was on board with this as she also felt that Kim was spending too much time on her phone and computer. But after Kim basically throwing a gigantic tantrum about it, my wife is not so sure. Kim tried to use the argument that if we want her to do schoolwork from home, she needs the internet, but she wasn't doing the work anyway, so that argument didn't really hold water for me. She tried saying that she needs the internet to have access to her support network, but we take her to therapy and counseling in person, and I feel if she put more effort into those, then maybe she would make some progress. Kim hates me for this and told me that restricting her internet access in this day and age is mistreatment. My wife is also wavering on this idea because Kim isn't showing any positive changes and she still isn't going to school. Every single day is an emotional roller coaster for me. Anger, frustration, embarrassment, futility, failure, fear. I know Kim is struggling, and seeing your kid go through something that you can't fix is horrible, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. All I'm trying to do is gently force Kim to focus on her issues and take steps necessary to address them and make progress towards being a functional adult. She has 3 acceptance letters to colleges that she's very unlikely to attend now. I'm leaning towards not the jerk because this is an impossible situation and I really feel for all of you. It's very possible that your daughter's support network is online. It's also very possible that this is toxic and could be detrimental to her mental health. Without actually speaking with her, it's impossible to know. So that she's not held back with support and schoolwork, could you allow her Wi-Fi access with parental controls on it? If it were me, I'd be looking to block access to any potentially harmful material. It might be worth exploring with her and her therapist to find a way that she can use it for support, but in a healthy way, and ensure that she's not being bullied online or anything. More than anything though, you need to show her your unconditional love for her. Tell her you love her and often. Talk to her, and more than that, listen to what she says, both verbally and non-verbally. She sounds as if she might have pretty severe depression, so you need to show her that you're being supportive and not punishing her by removing her access to the internet, but protecting her from harm. Seek professional support for yourself too. You'll need someone to support yourself as you navigate through this together. My Karen coworker is trying to text my husband behind my back. Yesterday, we had year-end inventory day at my new job that I started 3 months ago. I, 35 female, was asked to bring a friend as my partner to help. We all brought our husbands and wives, others brought their kids, others brought their boyfriends, etc. I brought my husband, who's 36. My one coworker, 34 female, did not bring anyone. She just helped each group of partners throughout the day. Everything was going great, and we had a wonderful day, and inventory was nearly perfect, so we all got praised. Anyways, the next morning I get to work at 8 a.m., and 4 minutes into my day, my coworker, who did not bring anyone, asked if my husband has a brother that's single and specifically looks exactly like him. I said no, he only has a sister. She said, "Oh, that's a shame. So he doesn't have a brother?" Me again. "No, why? Do you have a crush on my husband?" She literally laughed like a schoolgirl. Let me start by saying that I am far from jealous. I know my husband is attractive. I know I am too. I know my husband is successful. I know I am too. I know my husband is hilarious, kind, and makes everyone feel heard and important. That's the exact reason I married him. I thought it was cute she liked him, and this did not upset me. She then went on to talk about him almost any chance she could for the entirety of the day. And again, this did not upset me at all. He's most likely not coming back here, at least until next year inventory day. She's having a crush, and it'll pass by next week. What did upset me, when I got home at 4:30 p.m., he showed me that at 1:24 p.m., she texted him, and I quote, "Hey," spelled his name wrong. "How are you today? Your lady is really bothering me." So this woman went into our system, found my husband's phone number, and deemed it okay to text him in this manner. Of course he did not respond. Of course he thought it was absolutely insane. And now I'm getting ready for work today, and I'll see her in the next hour and a half after her doing this, and I'm not sure how I should or will react. Like I said, I'm very far from jealous. I understand crushes and feelings and emotions, etc. But someone going to this level to contact my husband turns me into a grizzly bear. Would I be the jerk if I told HR that she did this? We work for a very large billion-dollar company who takes these things very seriously. She'd essentially lose her job. Update. First, just clarifying, my husband and all the other helpers were paid very well for their work. And the people who brought their kids, they were about 24 or older. We need 10 extra people for one day. It wasn't slave work. We had a great day, and it was nice introducing my husband to everyone and meeting others' wives. We're going through a very large merger at work, and today was very busy. I did tell my assistant manager what had happened, showed him the photo of the text message, and explained that I was very upset with my coworker. He was flabbergasted, and tomorrow we'll sit down and tell our general manager what happened. He asked me what my resolution would look like, but we both agreed that once the GM knows, it's not exactly up to me anyways because of the breach in privacy. I do feel terrible. I've done nothing but be nice to her. Even the "your lady is bothering me" wasn't warranted because I wasn't even bothering her. Not the jerk. Your coworker's behavior is way out of line. Going behind your back to contact your husband is a major breach of boundaries. It's understandable that you're upset about it, and it's worth bringing to HR's attention to nip this thing in the bud. Am I the jerk for not telling my girlfriend I was gonna break up with her if she went on vacation with male friends? Basically, my girlfriend went on vacation with her male friends. I told her this made me uncomfortable and I didn't want her to go. By the way, she used to hook up with one of them before she met me. She told me it would be fine and that they're like brothers to her. I already made the decision to break up with her right there and then, but I waited to get my stuff from her place before anything, and I figured I should do that while she's gone. I also didn't want to break up over text or call, so I waited for her to come back. I picked her up when she came back, dropped her off, and gave her the key to her place back, and broke up. She started crying, and she figured out it was because of the vacation. She kept saying that nothing happened. I told her she knew I wasn't comfortable with this, and she still went. She mentioned that I should have said that I'd break up with her if she went, and that if she knew that, she never would have gone. I told her I didn't want to be controlling and threaten her with ending the relationship. We kept going back and forth over this for a while. Edit. More information since some of y'all are assuming a lot here. 1. She never actually introduced me to these friends. Even though I mentioned I wanted to meet them, she kept making excuses. 2. She never told me she used to hook up with her friend. I only found out because I found an old picture of them kissing when she was showing me some old travel pics. 3. I was okay with their friendship until now. This was just too much for me. Did she cheat on me? Who knows? But at this point, I was sick of doubting. Not the jerk. Also, the fact that she claims she wouldn't have gone if she had known you to break up over it, that doesn't make it any better. It makes it worse. It shows she doesn't care how it affects you unless it becomes a problem for her too. That's zero integrity, and that's not long-term partner material. It should not take you leaving or thinking about leaving for her to not dismiss your feelings. That's asinine. Wow, someone on Reddit with a spine. Kudos to you. My wife and her ex-husband. My wife, 45 female, was married to Bob, 46 male, for almost a decade. They got divorced 12 years ago. There is a story behind it. Bob and my wife were college sweethearts. They got married very young and had been very happy. However, Bob got into an accident which led him to be paralyzed from the waist down. My wife was 29 and Bob was 30 back then. My wife took care of him for 3 years, but then she just gave up. She told Bob that she couldn't do this anymore. She knows that she sounded selfish, but she always wanted to have kids, but Bob couldn't have kids after the accident. She wanted to get a divorce, but promised him that she would always be there for him. She just wants to be selfish for once. Bob, although he was upset, he still understood. They split amicably. My wife stood by her promise and still visited Bob. She was still a part-time caretaker for him before she met me. I, 40 male, met her 2 years after her divorce. While we were dating, she made her situation with Bob clear that she will continue to see him. I know a lot of guys would be skeptical about this, but I just loved her the moment I saw her. Her kindness and compassion towards others is what drew me towards her. After we became official, she only went to see Bob once a week, sometimes even twice. I did not mind then. In fact, I liked her ex very much. He didn't treat me like I was the other man. He was always welcoming towards me and even showed me his library. I always felt bad for what happened to him. He was a great man and life had just betrayed him. When we got married, I could still see the sadness in his eyes, although there was a mix of emotions from him. I always felt that Bob never stopped loving my wife, and to some degree, my wife still has feelings for him. I know she loves me a lot. She has always treated me like I'm her king and always showed her love to me. Seriously, I'm really lucky to have her in my life. Together, we have 2 kids who are 7 and 5. My kids are also close with Bob. Everything was fine until a few months ago. We got the news that Bob has cancer. It was at the last stage, and he might not even survive a full year, but there's still a possibility. The news really broke my wife. She had stopped eating properly and being her usual cheerful self. I understand it, but here's where I'm a little uncomfortable. She now visits him very often. Most of the time, I will be there with her. And then a few weeks after the discovery, she told me she wants to shift in his house. She told me that Bob feels lonely and his siblings do not care about him since his accident, and it will be better if she would just stay with him. I objected. We had an argument and reached a compromise that we're both going to stay. So I've been staying at Bob's house for 2 weeks now. 4 days ago, we were all having dinner, and after we were finished, I decided to do the dishes. My wife and Bob were chatting. The conversation went like this. Bob, I really missed this. I miss talking to you like the good times. My wife, me too. Remember one time we talked so much that we were late for work the next day? It wasn't even important. Bob, what happened to us, Lily? I mean, we were something. People would use us as an example. I miss you a lot. Never thought that when I was dying, you wouldn't be my wife anymore. My wife, I know. At one point I thought that too, but life had other plans. I mean, I love you, but I love my family more. It was not the same after your accident. It's as if they forgot that I was in the kitchen and listening to their conversation. My wife was normal after that. We went to bed and kissed each other goodnight. I don't know how to feel about all of this. I trust my wife. I know she's a strong woman with good morals. She would never cheat on me. I know she's just sympathetic towards Bob because their relationship was beyond just exes. They are best friends. I feel like an intruder between them, and I think no matter what my opinion in all of this is, I will always be the bad guy. You're not the bad guy in a form. Know that. You need to talk to your wife about what you heard. Then you need to get to counseling with her and possibly Bob. Because when Bob does pass, you want to have everything settled. Because she may start saying things like, I lost the most important man to me. And then you're going to be severely pushed over the edge. OP. Therapy sounds good. I guess I knew deep down this would come. OP. She divorced because she was full-time his caretaker and couldn't do it any longer. Their marriage failed for that reason. There was no intimacy, no romance. She had a version of what kind of family she wanted, and she had been clear with this from the beginning. She was young back then and had her whole life ahead. Now we have kids, and our situation is very different from her first marriage. I know that if I get injured, she will not leave me. She's also in a better financial position than she was 12 years ago, and we can hire nurses if one of us becomes injured. And I don't mind her going once a week to see Bob. Bob is also my friend too. I also visit him sometimes, along with my wife. She spends time with me a lot. She has no other family except for Bob. This story makes me sad for all of you. It's understandable she's been upfront with you about this. She loves him and feels guilty she couldn't stay with him and have the life that she wanted. It's very sad. You would not have your wife if not for his accident. I wouldn't like this arrangement. It would be very uncomfortable, but you did sign up for this. How are your kids processing all of this? OP. They're mostly sad. Bob is getting weaker every second. They don't know he will be passing, but they are happy to see Bob. This is difficult for many reasons. Reading your post, it almost sounds like you want to be jealous, but I doubt that's really it. If it were jealousy, I feel that you would have had problems long ago. Have you considered that you're grieving for Bob, the man you called a friend? It's easier to be upset or hurt at your wife than to face his demise. It doesn't sound like there's anything for you to worry about from this relationship itself. It's just difficult emotionally, and that's understandable. You really should see a therapist to help you work through your emotions so you can be there to support your wife and kids when he passes. It won't be helpful if you're still suppressing both the hurt of knowing your wife loves someone else and the loss of a friend. OP. I'm devastated that I'm losing a dear friend of mine. I mean, Bob never even tried to hurt me or make me feel like a third man or a man who came between him and my wife. In 2020, I went into a deep depression due to stress of losing my job during lockdown. Bob, even though he was disabled, helped me and motivated me to keep going. He's a really good guy. Maybe you're right. I'm still in a mix of emotions. Update. Alright, I took some of the advice that you guys gave me. Although I was disappointed to see so many emotional people calling me and my wife names without even trying to understand the situation, I want to make a few things clear. To those saying my wife is awful because she abandoned her husband, no, I disagree with that. There's a difference between terminating a marriage and abandoning. She didn't abandon Bob. She was right by his side. She was just not his wife. I can understand why. And those saying that my wife and Bob are having an emotional affair? No. People who have affairs are secretive. My wife was never like that. She was always upfront and honest about her relationship with Bob and how she would still want to care about him. I do not think there is any affair. Just because she said she loves him, so what? She says I love you to her kids, her friends, and even my mother. That doesn't mean she's having an affair with anyone else. She's kept a boundary between Bob and her. She doesn't love him romantically, but like a friend or family. She doesn't have her own family. She's been no contact with her family since she was 18. Bob was the only family she's ever known. If my wife wanted kids, why didn't she just adopt or do IVF? Like I said in my previous post, she was financially drained. IVF cost a lot here, and adoption with a disabled parent is hard. The agencies hesitate to give a kid when one parent is not functional. Then again, they would still need money. My wife wanted to have kids of her own, and if they went to either of those routes, she would have been the one taking care of the baby most of the time, along with her husband. Bob almost went broke during all of the caretaking. It wasn't until a few years ago he started a remote job that allowed him to stay at home and earn. My wife will leave me if the same thing happens to me. I doubt it, but even if she does, I would understand. We talked about this before getting married, that if we have tried every possible option, then one of us can divorce. I do not want to be a burden on my own wife. And we're both in our 40s. We have pretty much accomplished every goal in life. So if something like this were to happen, we're prepared. Bob loves my wife. He could, but there's not much I can do about it. I mean, I can't order him to stop loving her, but he does have feelings for her. Bob was in a long-term relationship for 5 years with another woman, but I do not think his love for my wife is the same as romantic love. Now on to the update. I took your advice. I just wanted to do the talk when she wasn't stressed. I texted my wife to meet us at our house, not Bob's. I ordered her favorite food and set up the table. When she arrived, she was surprised to see the setup, and I just told her that since she has been stressed lately, I wanted to do something good for her. I called my mother. The kids are with her. Bob is staying at the hospital today, so he's fine too, and she can relax. She was happy and thanked me. We talked about our life, and she vented about her job and everything that's been going on. Then I dropped the bomb about the conversation with Bob. I told her about that conversation and how it made me feel. Well, I like Bob, and I know she loves me too, but I can't help but imagine her wanting to be with him, and it really hurts. Though I do appreciate her wanting to help Bob, I want to enforce boundaries. I cannot live forever in her ex's house. We have our own house. She needs to think about our kids too. I feel like day by day I'm losing her. This is just my concern and not insecurity. I expected her to flip out and become defensive, but she just cried a lot. She said that she didn't mean to hurt me. She knows she went too far with wanting to stay with Bob. She says she doesn't want Bob to feel alone. That's why she proposed it. And she feels sorry for not listening. She didn't mean to hurt me. She's been thinking about the living situation. I told her it's not enough. I wanted us to talk to a therapist. This whole thing is just a burden on me. She got scared and said, "Why? Nothing's wrong with us." I told her I want to do this. Just make sure we're on the same page and that there are no hard feelings on either side. Then I asked her if she still wishes to be with Bob, because if he didn't have the accident, they would still be together. She told me she has wasted time thinking about what if. She knows we'd probably never meet, or she and Bob could have divorced for a different reason. The thing is, she doesn't want to think about it. What happened just happened. She loves me and doesn't want to be with Bob. Bob has a place in her heart as a friend and family. When she said she loves Bob, it doesn't mean she's in love with him. She hasn't thought about him in a romantic way since their divorce. The only reason she stuck with Bob was because they promised each other no matter what happened, they will be with each other even as a friend. She promised that we move back home and only stay 1 day a week at Bob's house. She might do occasional visits when needed. I agreed, but I still insisted on going to therapy, and she agreed to it. We have yet to tell Bob about the news, but I'm sure he will understand. And before you ask, yes, Bob has a full-time nurse. He has family, but they hardly ever visit him. I'll probably not make an update again. I'm done. No matter how much I try to explain it to you guys, you would only stick to seeing things either in black or white. Apparently, in the Reddit world, two exes remaining good friends is considered an emotional affair. They don't need context to understand things. I'm also very much drained emotionally. Bob is also my friend. Seeing him getting weak every day just makes me feel hopeless too. I'm glad you had that conversation with her. I'm rooting for you. And yes, therapy. I always feel like therapy is like an oil charge. It's maintenance. If you don't do it, you're done for. But if you keep at it, you'll be running smoothly. I have a few therapists in my family, so it may be their influence. She may need individual therapy too. There's a lot to unpack for her. OP. Yes, we talked about that. I forgot to mention in my post. I told her that she needs to face the ugly reality that Bob might not be in our lives. She needs to prepare for that. She needs therapy for herself to navigate those feelings. She agreed to that. Communication. As much as people would like to vilify the two of you, you are both admirably navigating a sea of gray and doing the best you can. I'm disappointed by this sub's inability to do nuance. Marriage is nuanced. Marriage requires comfort with gray areas. Marriage requires constant give and take. Thank you for sharing this with us. OP. Yeah, I think people are way too self-righteous to think about any other possible solution. Yes, morally, she should have stayed with her ex and spent the rest of her life taking care of him, no matter how emotionally draining it is. But practically, it makes no sense. Wife. I know, I shouldn't have demanded to move in with my ex-husband. To compromise, I'll only stay with him 1 day a week. All the while, their own kids are displaced and have to stay with their grandparents. His wife wasn't having an emotional affair. They are in a throuple. She never really left her ex-husband. This went way past staying friends after the divorce. More power to OP. If my wife told me she was moving into her ex's place to take care of him on his deathbed, I would tell her to take all of her crap with her. I know this will be a very unpopular opinion, but OP's wife is a fantastic ex-wife, but a terrible wife and mother. She's put her ex and her feelings, which a lot are probably revolving around easing her own guilt, above the feelings and wants and needs and dignity of her husband and kids. For crying out loud, she displaced her husband and shipped her kids off to grandma to move in with her ex, with whom she is in a relationship. They don't hook up, but this is very personal and an emotional relationship, aka what many marriages evolve into as people age. OP and his wife have an open marriage and a throuple, or whatever you want to call it. I've never even heard that throuple word before. And this is enough Reddit for one day. OP is in denial about it, and as long as he's okay with it, it's fine. Just call a spade, but for crying out loud, they're both so enmeshed they don't realize that they're absent parents. I had a baby as a result of an affair, and now his wife is reaching out to me. I, 26 female, had an affair with a married man, 42, a few years ago. I had no clue he was married when we first met and hooked up. I obviously looked him up on social media, and while he did have photos of his kids on there was absolutely no mention or photos of a wife at all. I found out that he was married about a month after we first got together, but he told me it was just a marriage on paper and that they basically lived separate lives and agreed to remain married for practical purposes until the kids were older. They owned a business, which she really ran, and he was just financially involved in. I knew at the time that I probably shouldn't believe him, but I convinced myself it was true. I was in my early 20s and so attracted to him, and I guess almost infatuated with him. He made me feel so good. I know now that I should have ended it immediately, but I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I was addicted to all of the attention he gave me, the places he'd take me. I felt special. I was so naive. I got pregnant about a year into seeing him. I had always been so careful with preventing pregnancy, but during my relationship with him, I took stupid risks. It's embarrassing. I was in love with him, or I thought I was. I hadn't intentionally wanted to get pregnant. I would of course dream about being his wife and having a family, but I knew that wouldn't be a possibility while he had this arrangement with his actual wife. I didn't get pregnant on purpose with any intention of him leaving her for me, even if I wished that we could be a real normal couple. I was surprised by how excited I was to be pregnant with his baby. I wanted that baby once I found out I was pregnant. The thought of carrying this baby of the man I loved was so special for me, but I knew he probably wouldn't feel the same way. I told him I was pregnant, and he told me I couldn't keep the baby. I expected this reaction, but it hurt me to the core that he didn't feel the same way I did. He offered to pay to make a whole weekend of it somewhere exciting, and to buy me something special if I'd just please get rid of it. He explained that he didn't want any more kids and that he couldn't openly be a father to another kid when he and his wife were still pretending to be happily married to the outside world. I agreed to do what he wanted, and we made plans for him to pick me up and find somewhere out of town to go get it taken care of. I was all packed the night he was going to pick me up, but I started to feel really scared and really unsafe about the whole thing. I took my bag and checked myself into a hotel to hide because I couldn't go with him. I texted him to say I promised to never contact him again and to never name him as the father or go after him for child support if he had promised to leave me alone. At first, he tried to sweet-talk me into doing what he wanted. When I didn't cave, he said some very mean things to me that I essentially better never contact him again or show up at his door. I have a 2-year-old now. At times, it's been difficult, but overall, we are thriving as best we can. I've kept my word about not naming him as the father or requesting child support. His wife contacted me on social media. Well, she's his ex-wife now. She wants to talk to me. She found out about me and told me that she divorced him 6 months ago. She wants her kids to know their sibling and for my kid to know his siblings. That's weird to me. I haven't responded back to her yet. I'm unsure about how to approach this. How do I respond? I wonder if I'm being selfish by not exploring an option for my own kid to know his siblings, if she's being genuine about that. If I was married and my husband fathered a kid outside of our marriage, I don't think I'd feel the same way that she does. Are you sure this is truly his ex-wife contacting you? Could it be him using her account or a fake account to initiate contact with you for some twisted reason? Please be careful and make wise decisions if and when agreeing to meet this woman. I know you want to do the right thing. Just be very careful. So many people telling you to go for it for the sake of the kid and possible child support, but I would say that you have good instincts which served you well. Don't ignore them now. You're leading a happy life with your kid. You've survived so far without his financial help. Letting her and the kids into your lives will be inviting him back into your life too. You also don't know what her intentions are or if it's even her who's contacting you. No matter what, it will be inviting him back into your life in some way. He made you feel unsafe and wanted you to not have the baby. He also abandoned you and the baby. He cheated on his wife for a long time. He's not a good guy. I would say keep him out of your life and continue as you are. Am I the jerk for telling my daughter she sabotaged herself? My ex-wife and I, 51 male, have 3 kids together. We have 2 sons who are 15 and 13, and we have a daughter who's now 18. Their mother and I agreed on 50-50 custody arrangement after we split up and have stuck to it until this issue arose. My daughter hasn't spoken to me since last summer due to an argument she and I had about college. I have college funds for all 3 of my kids and had an agreement with them that they would receive it after graduating high school as long as they attended a state university, not community college. I wanted to set them up for success later on, and I know future employers would take them more seriously if their degree was from a legitimate 4-year college. Last spring, my daughter and I got into an argument about this. She was filling out financial forms for college and asked me for my tax returns. While we were going over the forms, I noticed that she put down a local community college, and when I pointed it out, she told me that her mother encouraged her to because they waived the tuition fees for first-time college students, so we wouldn't have to pay for any of it. I told her that she shouldn't be asking me for my information if she was going to use it to do something that I've made clear I don't support. She told me that she thought I just meant I was against paying for it, and I told her that I had been crystal clear and that she knew what I had meant and that she was being sneaky and taking the easy way out. Eventually, I stormed out. I figured that it would blow over by the next day, as it usually does when we have a fight. However, she told me a few days later that she reached out to the financial aid company and asked to submit the forms with only her mother's financial information. They ended up approving her request, but it was a long process and didn't get completed until after the deadline to enroll in most universities for the fall semester. As a result, she wasn't able to start college last semester and ended up getting a job instead. My daughter told me that since I clearly wasn't going to help her, that she would move in with her mother full-time after she turned 18, which was during the summer, and she started college this semester. I told her that was ridiculous and that she was being petty and that she sabotaged herself, and if she had just enrolled in a real college like I told her to, she would have been able to complete the paperwork without a problem. She told me that she hated me and was cold and distant to me until she moved out permanently. This was all during spring and summer of last year, and my daughter hasn't spoken to me since. I pretty much forgot about it until my youngest son told me this morning that he misses her being there when they spend the week at my house and how he wishes I hadn't been so harsh. In retrospect, I guess I might have been too harsh with it.
Rich groom plus poor bride equals entitled parents. This happened a few years ago, and to be fair, they weren't the worst couple I have dealt with in my career, but even so, they were jerks to work with. So the backstory. The groom was a rich businessman from the UK that was marrying a single mother from Africa. Based on the ways their families conducted themselves, it was clear to say that their backgrounds were vastly different. I had been hired to do the wedding video. I was shooting alone, rather uncomfortably I might add, as I had filmed a different wedding the day before, and all the service providers had gotten light cases of food poisoning. Their wedding was on a Sunday, and as I had been hired by the bride's side of the family, their budget was fairly limited. Therefore, all pre-ceremony coverage had been cut from their package. I arrived about 30 minutes before the ceremony to see the groom cussing out the DJ about something. I don't actually know what. The ceremony started and didn't add much to the story. The bride's stupid lawn pin, my company's name for kids, was screaming throughout the entire ceremony, making it impossible to hear the sermon and making me feel oh so happy knowing that I was going to get tasked trying to clean up the audio after. Oh, the joys of wedding videos. Cut forward to after the ceremony, with everyone gathering for the couple to sign the register. The couple entered the room and saw something horrendous. Something so devastating to their moment that not even God would have had the solution. Right there, right where they wanted to sign, there was a book lying on the table.
Get the manager straight away! This book has to be removed!
The jerk groom yelled to the closest person in earshot. It took me a moment to register what had just happened before I took a step towards the table, simply picking up the book and putting it back on the shelf. So you'd think that would be the end of it, right? With the obstacle now removed, that they could simply sign the papers and go on with their lives. Nah, this had upset them so much that the room had to be cleared while they took some time alone to rant about how inadequate everyone is and how this book had ruined their entire day. I'm not even joking. They really did say that the book had ruined their entire day. So eventually, the dang register gets signed. The two most dramatic people in the world are now husband and wife, and everyone is standing outside. Finally, the door opens. We wake up from our afternoon naps on our feet. The guests hold their hands, ready to throw confetti, only to see the MC walk through the door and announce that they won't be coming out, as the bride doesn't want the wind messing up her hair. If I had rolled my eyes any bigger, they would have come out of their sockets. Why? Because the bride, not the groom, but the bride was from this area, and she knew the wind never stops blowing. Did she think God was going to pause the weather for her while the rest of her guests stand outside burning in the sun for almost 15 minutes? Anyway, move forward to the reception. The couple shoot and the family photos had to be postponed to later because, for some reason, the bride thought the wind was going to change. This meant that everyone now entered the reception hall more than 90 minutes earlier than the schedule had stipulated. So what does the groom of the year do? He goes and yells at the wedding coordinator that the first course isn't ready yet. Needless to say, this caused some panic in the kitchen. I should further point out that this wasn't your average 3-course meal. This was 8 courses. So the schedule was something like this: speech, course, 8 times. The opening of the dance floor, bouquet and garter, etc. I did my setup quickly as the first speech was about to commence. Only one problem. The number of guests was way too many for the venue's capacity, so there was literally no way for me to get anywhere near the bridal table or the podium where the speakers would be making their speeches. I set up as well as I could, a basic 2-camera setup, and took a stand behind the main camera. During the speech, I glanced in the direction of my second camera only to see the bride's lawn pin is trying to climb up my tripod. How the camera didn't fall over might prove that there is a higher power up in the clouds, but nonetheless, I sprinted towards it, grabbing the kid before he could knock over the camera. I put him down, telling him politely not to touch it. The camera had moved during the kid's action and was now no longer pointing in any kind of relevant direction. I glanced back at my main camera, only to see that the speaker was no longer standing behind the podium and had gone to stand directly behind the couple. I had missed it completely. I sprinted back to my main camera, readjusted the shot, glanced back at my second camera, only to see the dang lawn pin aiming to try and climb up it again. Once more, I sprinted back to my second camera, picked the camera up, and set it up right next to the main one. This was the most boring setup ever done in my career, but it would now have to do. The speech eventually ended, and the first course was served. I was the only person/service provider not catered for because, honestly, who cares about the videographer? To be fair, this didn't bother me because I wouldn't have been able to eat anyway, but I was still feeling horrible and really just wanted to rest for a while. I waited for the guests to start eating before spotting a sofa at the back of the venue and deciding it looked like a great place to rest. I had just sat down when I was approached by the jerk groom and the lawn pin. Groom: "What are you doing now?" Me, immediately back on my feet. "There's really nothing I can shoot at the moment, so just waiting for the next speech. Was there something you needed?" "Yeah, please watch this stupid kid." And yes, he really did describe his new stepson as the stupid kid. Me: "Huh?" "Yeah, just keep him quiet and make sure he doesn't disturb the guests." Me: "What about when the next speech starts?" "Thank you," the groom said, walking away without answering my question. I looked after him with bleeding eyes. This wasn't happening. The kid stared at me. I stared back at him. He continued staring at me, and then started wailing his eyes out. I looked around frantically to see if any of the kid's relatives were going to come help, but nope. Giving in to my fate, I climbed down to the floor, opened the kid's backpack, and started unpacking his toys. He stopped crying quite quickly as I let him show me his favorite toys. Skip forward about 15 to 20 minutes. The kid and I were in the middle of an intense dinosaur battle when I heard the next speech starting. I had asked the MC to give a 2-minute warning before each speech so that I could have time to set my cameras up again. I, unfortunately, had to move them away every time as to not block the traffic flow of the waiters. He forgot every single time. I missed the first few seconds of the second speech as I redid my setup, only to hear that the kid had started wailing again. I glanced in the direction of the couple, who were both staring at me with daggers in their eyes. I stared back at them with a look that said, "What the heck do you want me to do about it?" and left the kid to cry as I tried recording the second speech. The speech ended, well, I assume it did. The lawn pin was yelling so loud that I never heard it end, but I'm sitting here typing this story, so I think it's a fair bet. I moved my cameras away again and moved back towards the couch when I was bombarded by the couple. Bride: "Why weren't you watching him?" Me: "Because I can't play babysitter and shoot your wedding video at the same time." Groom: "Well, I told you to watch him." Me: "And your wife paid me to capture your day on video. Again, I can't do both." "Well, that was very embarrassing for us." A silence followed this, with me and the couple just staring at each other. Me: "Are you waiting for me to say something?" "Just go do your job," the groom snapped before stomping off with his new wife. "Which one?" I yelled after them, once more getting ignored. The rest of the reception played off more or less the same until I was relieved of my babysitting duties by the bride's sister, aunt, mother, hairstylist. I have no idea who the heck she was, except that I now had to share my sofa. So the reception finally ended. I felt like I had just aged 10 years and it was now time for the family and couple photos. But what was this? Their praying had helped nothing, and the wind was now blowing even worse than before. Now at this point, any logical bride would probably have been asking herself some questions. Specifically, what difference is it going to make if my hair gets messed up now, as almost everything has already been done? And what is the point of even having my hair done if I'm not going to take any decent photos? This bride didn't ask those questions though, and therefore insisted that all her photos, couple, and family take place on the porch, on one single small spot on the porch. So the shoot went like this. I finally get them in frame, and the main photographer blocks me. I try a different angle, and the second photographer blocks me. Heck, I didn't blame the photographers. This was like trying to fit 6 people into a matchbox without taking out the matches. There was simply no space for all of us, and the couple had left this so late that the light was disappearing by the second. If this poor photographer had 20 minutes for all the photos, then I'll be surprised. The next thing to do was getting all the guests back upstairs for the opening of the dance floor. Both the photographer and I had about an hour left on the clock, so we were at least doing well for time. The photographer and I started back up the stairs to do our setup, but we were suddenly stopped by the MC. The MC informed us that the bride was tired, so she and the groom were going to retire to the honeymoon suite and would return in about an hour for the opening of the dance floor. The photographer and I looked at each other with a kind of, "What?" expression, but shrugged it off and went to wait upstairs. News of the couple's temporary departure quickly reached the guests, and within less than 30 minutes, the entire reception hall had emptied, with the exception of the waiters, bar staff, photographers, and myself. Another 30 minutes passed with no sign of the couple returning. Both the photographers and I were now off the clock. The photographers waited another 15 minutes, literally saying, "Forget this," and leaving. I wanted to do the same. My God, did I want to do the same. But the video I had taken so far was so bad. It was nightmare fuel bad, and I simply could not bring myself to leave without at least capturing the opening of the dance floor. And so I continued to wait for another 90 minutes. Finally, the couple returned, followed by around 10 or 15 guests. All of them now wore their casual attire and looked like they were ready for a night at a dodgy nightclub. And then I heard the words that finally made me lose my patience. MC: "The couple isn't going to open the dance floor anymore." I stared at the couple with a livid expression on my face as the hip-hop music started playing. The groom took to the bar, and the bride started throwing grotesque dance moves with her friends. Seeing this, I picked up my gear and walked out of the room without saying goodbye to the couple. I did, predictably, get an email from the groom a few days later telling me to remove all the lawn pins crying from the video and that they expected the video to be a true representation of their special day. That I can say it definitely was. What would you have done if you were in this position? Would you have stuck around and kept trying? Or would you just have bolted and got out of there? Let me know in the comments. Next we've got, I helped get my wife's boss fired. So this is a story all about how my wife and I got her boss fired. For reference, my wife will be called Mary and her boss is Karen. I know, original, right? So, Mary started working for a college 5 years ago as an administrative assistant. She was given odd and end tasks, one of which was writing up the school handbook. She noted in the handbook that staff were required to take time for professional development. After some years and a few promotions, she lands a manager position in the department and spearheads an initiative to have all staff under her have approved time to attend professional development conferences. Karen always rejected this idea, but Mary decided one day to go to Karen's boss, we will call Bob. Bob is great. Once Mary has enough weight in the college, she went around Karen and got Bob to approve conferences for everyone in the department. For the next year or so, everyone got to choose any conference around the continental USA to attend on the company's dime. Everyone would come back with notes taken at every session attended, attached with a conference itinerary and given to their direct supervisor as proof of attendance. The employee would also present key points learned from their conference at a weekly departmental meeting. Pretty simple morale-boosting opportunity, until someone had to abuse it. Karen had been bragging to other department directors, as well as to Mary, about swimming with dolphins during her recent travel to a conference. Mary didn't think much of it, as usually there was sometimes a free morning or afternoon to do with as you pleased at the conferences. My wife told me this during our nightly pillow talk, and having been raised in Orlando, where Karen decided to attend a conference, my head popped up and I asked, "Where?" Mary replied with a well-known location run by a well-known company with a whale for a logo. I quickly replied that they close at 5:30. When did Karen have time for this? Mary, who had access to Karen's itinerary, dropped her jaw when she realized the conference Karen attended did not have free time during the business hours of the dolphin swimming experience. Mary went into an enraged clerical fury as she pulled up Karen's full travel itinerary for flight, hotel, conference, and other reimbursements. The school does most departmental work online, and therefore the school's server can be accessed remotely from secured or approved devices like Mary's phone. She also checked the website where Karen went swimming at to confirm hours of operation. According to the records submitted, there was no way Karen had time to swim with the dolphins during the experience's normal business hours without missing part of the conference. And according to Carrie's itinerary, she was supposed to have attended all sessions. Mary worked hard to have the privilege to travel the country to attend conferences, and Karen just messed it all up. Mary eventually wrote all of this up, attached the itinerary documents, attached photos of the encounter, and apparently from other theme parks that Karen had neglected to mention from social media, attached the hours of operation, and sent this all to Bob. Mary texted me about an hour after she got to work the next day, saying Bob was livid. He was currently in the process of questioning everyone Karen had bragged to see if the stories all matched up. A few days later, Karen was fired from the company for only attending one session of the 3-day conference, lying about her report filed, using company funds for travel hotels and food to go play at theme parks, and for submitting a time card to get paid while doing all of that. Although Mary's name was anonymous through all of this, Karen seemed to blame Mary anyways. Karen sent mean and dark texts to Mary several times until the school could send a cease and desist. Worst of all, I guess Karen's husband was a deadbeat, so not only did Karen have to trade in her massive SUV for a smaller vehicle, she had also just signed on a new house only days before she was fired and now had no income to support the said home. I'm not completely cynical. People shouldn't be homeless. But Karen had also taken credit for a lot of Mary's work, made Mary do Karen's workload while Karen went away from her keyboard, and many other instances of foul play I can't remember because there's so much pillow talk. Needless to say, Karen reaped what she sowed. Do you feel bad that Karen's losing her home, or do you think she deserves it? Leave me a comment letting me know, and drop a re while you're at it. Next we've got, I ruined this guy's entire holiday. I work at a call center for a large UK luxury caravan holiday park company. It's actually not a bad place to work, and I have a lot of fun. Like most call center jobs, I deal with a lot of entitled customers, but there's one in particular that totally takes the cake. I spoke to this guy not long after getting the job, probably not even 2 months in. It's a long conversation, but I promise it's worth the read. He called up, and he had turned up to the holiday park and checked into his accommodation, which was an extra wide and extra long 3-bedroomed model. I don't remember the exact name of the unit he was in, but it wasn't our bog standard caravan. It was a new model and pretty big. I went through my whole introduction and data protection, etc., and asked how I can help. I don't remember the exact conversation, but it went something like this. Entitled Parent. I've just checked into my caravan, and it is absolutely tiny. It's a joke. Me. I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Have you been to the reception to let them know you aren't happy? It's company policy that the call center aren't allowed to step on the park toes, so any complaints need to be dealt with by the park. But we get so many customers who call us up thinking they'll get a better compensation offer than what the park has given them. Entitled Parent. Yes, they aren't going to do anything. They said there aren't any other caravans available, and the only option is to switch to a different park, which is ridiculous. Me. Unfortunately, sir, if we have no other accommodations available on park, there's nothing we can do. I can see you are in an extra wide and extra long accommodation currently, so I doubt we would have anything bigger on the park anyway. Perhaps he cuts me off. We were in a much bigger accommodation last year, and we paid more money this year. I check his previous booking, and he was in a bog standard 2-bedroom unit the previous year. That means his current accommodation is 20% wider and 20% longer than the last year, just with an extra bedroom. Me. I understand you're disappointed, But I've just looked, and you are actually in a larger accommodation this year than last year. Unfortunately, unless you would consider switching to a different park and paying the upgrade cost for a lodge, we don't have anything larger available. Entitled parent.
This is ridiculous. Let me speak to your manager now.
Me. We don't have any managers available at the moment. Have you spoke with the manager on park?
I tried. They wouldn't let me speak to the manager.
Me. Knowing something isn't quite right about that. Okay, no worries, sir. Let me call the park and see if there's anything I can do. Are you okay to just wait on hold for a couple of minutes, just while I try to clear this up?
Whatever.
I place the guy on hold and call through to the reception of the park he's staying at. Me. Hi, I've got a man on the phone here who's staying in this something caravan. He's not happy because he thinks it's too small, and I'm just wondering if I can transfer him through to a manager. Receptionist. He's already been down today and spoken with our general manager, but he isn't happy with what she said. He can speak with her again if he likes, but he'll need to come down here to speak with her. Me, confused. He just told me you guys refused to let him speak with the manager. I'm so confused. Receptionist. No, he's been down here 3 times now and spoken with her twice. He's also been standing outside of the reception making notes and staring at us for hours today. He wants money, but we've told him he isn't going to get it because there isn't anything actually wrong with his caravan. He just wants a bigger model, which we don't have. I apologize for wasting the receptionist's time and go back to the guy on hold. This is where it gets crazy. Me. Thanks so much for holding there, sir. So I've just spoken with the park, and unfortunately there is no manager currently on site higher up than the woman you've already spoken with. She's the general manager of the park.
Well, she's an unhelpful idiot. She was incredibly rude, and she didn't want to help us at all. I want to speak to your manager now!
Me. Unfortunately, as per our complaints policy, you do need to deal with this issue with the park. And as they've already explained, we won't issue any compensation to yourself as your issue is a personal opinion. There isn't anything wrong with your accommodation.
Your entire company is a shambles. You've ruined my holiday. This caravan is a joke. It's a joke!
Me. Sir, I will not tolerate you speaking to me like that. I'm trying to help you, and I will terminate the call if you continue to speak to me like that. He continued to scream at me the entire time, but I didn't hear the exact wording.
You have ruined our holiday! We paid good money for this!
He's honestly breaking his microphone at this point. He's screaming so loud, I can barely understand him. Sir, it is our company policy that you deal with this on park, and I will not tolerate you speaking to me this way.
I will sue you! You love ruining people's holidays and taking people's money!
Goodbye, sir. I hung up on him at this point. No way in heck am I going to listen to that for $8.50 an hour. I kept an eye on his client profile though. Turns out he did the same thing to the reception staff and police had to be called later that night. Bear in mind, this guy was on holiday with his wife and baby. He is now banned from staying on any of our parks, didn't get to stay for his holiday, and got zero compensation. Entitled Dad tries to take my $3,000 bike. This just happened a few hours ago, and I'm still fuming after this happened. As the title says, someone tried to steal my bike. Important things to know. I live in the center of Milan, Italy. My school is about 45 minutes from where I live, and I need to take the bus to go and come back from school with a welcome 20 minutes ride to my house from the stop. I'm an avid cyclist, and because of that, my grandmother manages to scrape some money to give me this bike. I don't let anyone ride it because it's the last thing I have remembering her. On to the story. Cast. We've got me. We've got my best friend. We've got Entitled Dad and Entitled Kid. The day goes just like normal. I wake up, do my morning routine, and start cycling to the bus stop where I meet up with my closest friend, important, and get on the bus. As always, I attend school. Today was different. When I got to school, I saw one of the mothers that brings her kid to the bus stop. This is Entitled Kid. We never talked together since we never got along in the previous years, making us basically hate each other. This was strange, as his mother, not entitled, had a very important job in my father's company and always had to be at work on time to have a meeting with my dad. As school finishes, I get to the bus and sit with my friend. As usual, entitled kid gets on the bus and sits as far away as possible from us. As we get to the stop, I see entitled dad waiting for entitled kid. Strange, as he usually goes home alone on foot, but I really didn't think about it until I was walking towards my bike to unlock it. Entitled dad and entitled kid approach me and my friend. The following conversation goes like this. This was all in Italian, so I have to translate some words from my city's dialect that are commonly used. Me and friend are talking about our passion of cycling and start to unlock our bikes. My lock is very old, and sometimes I have to put quite a lot of force to open it. Entitled dad, high-pitched scream. "What are you doing?" Me, I turn around. "What?" "Why are you trying to steal this bike?" Me, "It's my bike." "Like heck it's not. Stop, or I'll call the police." Me, I lose my temper quite fast. "What do you want? This is my bike, and friend can prove it." Friend, "It's his bike, and entitled kid perfectly knows it's his." Entitled kid, "No, it's not. It's my bike, you little jerk." I get up and show him the key to the lock. Entitled dad tries to snatch it, but I step back and then push him back. Entitled dad lets a scream as if I had hurt someone. "Help! He assaulted me. He's trying to steal my son's bike." An important thing is that I'm obsessed with my weight and with my strength and often exercise at the gym to keep in shape. Because of that, I'm pumped as heck, what everyone says about me. This is my breaking point, and I start to yell, both in Italian and my dialect, and shout blasphemies, very common in young people. Friend, who has had anger issues for his whole life, thankfully doesn't lunge at him like he'd do normally, but chases him. Entitled dad gets back up and starts to high grunt heavily and decides it's a good idea to kick me in the abdomen. Since I already lost my temper, I socked him and he started crying like a little baby. Entitled kid also tried to do something, but as he was trying to get me, my friend made him trip. I managed to open my lockout in my back and started to ride away with my friend. Thing is that entitled dad was one of the wealthiest men I knew, and he could have bought the bike for entitled kid with no problem, but instead tried to steal it from me. Unfortunately, since his mother works at my father's company, he was informed pretty straight away and called me, and I explained what happened on the phone and he sided with me. I called the mother and said sorry for how I reacted. She said that I overreacted, but I was in my right and said to tell her if it ever happened again. Imagine your in-laws forced you to sign a prenup, but now that you're getting divorced, the prenup becomes the worst mistake they ever made. That's exactly what happens in our next story. It just popped up on your screen. Give it a tap, come have a listen. You won't believe what happens next.